In a time of universal deceit, telling the truth is a revolutionary act. George Orwell. Yeah. This is Blood Politics. The only podcast where we don't talk about politics. We be about politics. And our mission statement is to empower, educate, and encourage everyone to speak out against fascism, speak out against injustice, and fight for freedom and equality for everyone. This is Blood Politics. And we ain't stopping till they put us in the grave. We ain't gonna be quiet. And we ain't gonna be scared. And we ain't gonna go along with the crowd. This is Blood Politics. And it ain't about left or right. It ain't about Dem or Republican. It's about right and wrong. It's about us versus them. This is Blood Politics. And we gonna do what we gotta do.
What's happening, guys? What's going on? You ready to talk politics for a couple hours at least? I appreciate you guys for joining me once again. It's 24th of June. It's Wednesday night, and we're going to talk about some of the ridiculousness going on in the federal government today. A little bit of what we covered this morning. I guess some shenanigans took place just after I got off. A little bit of a yelling match between Senator Cassidy and Donald Trump that we'll get into. A little bit of the reporting after that as well. But how's everybody doing? You guys hanging with me tonight? You guys hanging in there? Everybody's feeling all right? Everybody's feeling good? Chat, you with me? How's everybody doing? Nancy, thank you so much for starting it off in the right way today. Appreciate that. Sorry about your new router and getting that all squared away, but I do very much appreciate the $50 contribution, starting it off in the right direction. Absolutely. So appreciate you and everything that you do. Hopefully you get the internet figured out as well. Or is it just, well, you're watching this, so in some way the router's got to be working. But again, either way, I hope you get it squared away. Thank you so much. What's up, Roxanne? How are you? What's going on, Dustin? What's going on, Damon? What's up, Nola? How's everybody feeling tonight? How's everybody feeling? Another day, another dollar. What's up, Jim? Appreciate you guys. Appreciate you guys. Hit that like button on the way in. What's up, Wes? What's up, Robin? What's going on, guys? Filter in. But yeah, I appreciate you for hanging with me. We're going to do a little bit of a laid back show today. Like I said, just kind of covering some of the craziness today. We're going to start with the where we ended the show on earlier. A little bit of the coverage from Trump canceling that signing of the bipartisan housing bill. He went on to kind of demand the passing of the SAVE Act. So everybody thought that he was trying to kind of leverage that to try to pass the SAVE Act, when in reality comes to find out he was really upset about the war powers vote that happened and why more Republicans didn't show up. Apparently, like I said, this is all coming from the reporting from that luncheon and the screaming match between Donald Trump, some other Republicans in the room, and obviously Senator Bill Cassidy. So we'll be speaking about that. We'll also bring up some of the Mondani reign supreme stories that have been going on here with the New York City primaries and a lot of the progressive wins, shocking some people in a lot of instances. So we'll bring up a little bit of that. Not only has it set off the Republicans, but apparently it's also set off John Fetterman. John Fetterman couldn't wait to get on with Sean Hannity and tell everybody about how deranged the Democratic Party is. Meanwhile, we're talking about John Fetterman, so that should give you a little bit to know about that. We got Benny Johnson somehow claiming again voter fraud to try to help Donald Trump's chance of passing the SAVE Act, to try to make it seem like it's absolutely necessary to, again, just steal the elections from here on out. And then we'll be talking about some Ukrainian strikes on Sevastopol. We'll be talking about a message from Zelensky that he had posted and some updates from Georgie from Ukraine Matters. So a lot to get through, a lot to get into. I appreciate you guys in the chat. Thank you so much for joining me as always. And again, before we dive into it, I got you guys ask and you shall receive. I saw this going around a little bit in the comments section, and just to celebrate a little bit of just the incredible, impeccable job that was done to represent the United States on its 250th anniversary. I wanted to just commemorate that with the T-shirt. You know what I mean? So I figure, what better way to represent that in the 250th than to just give a big round of applause and a congratulations to the algae now growing in Donald Trump's reflecting pool. So you get $5 off with the summer sale. You can now get one of these at bostonbryan.com. Just head over and click on the Blunt Politics merch link. Use code LOBSTER, and you can join Team Algae. But like I said, asking you shall receive, because I saw a couple comments, and I believe there was even a super chat kind of requesting that. So yeah, I know it's quick. We're good with it. So ask and you shall receive. Appreciate everybody coming over from Hal. Thank you, Kelly. Please tell Hal I said what's up the next time that you see him, the next time you're in the chat. Tell him I very much appreciate him and everything that he does. But thanks, everybody, coming over from the Sparklers chat as well. Make sure you hit that like button. We were just kind of, like I said, mocking the old algae situation with a little bit of merch gear here that you can pick up at bostonbryan.com. It cracks me up. I know it cracks me up, but what are you going to do? You know what I mean? If you don't laugh at the craziness, somehow you'll go crazy yourself. So that's what we try to do. But all right, let's start off again where we've been starting off these shows since we kicked off this second campaign, and we're going to continue to do so with this campaign until we get this finished. Just like the other one, we're still sitting here at 75%, 15,456 euro raised, 119 donations. So I just want to make sure that we don't let this kind of fall by the wayside. It is very impressive, the amount of donations and contributions that we've seen from you guys here in the community. Not only just contributing, but also the sharing it out. That's hugely important as well. So to see that in under 3 weeks of this campaign, I'm not sure what the average time for one of these things is. I know there's a lot of bigger content creators, a lot of bigger accounts that have multiple thousands and millions, even that they're raising. But for a channel, like I continue to say, of over 20,000 but under 25,000 subscribers, to be able to get this far, to be able to to raise this much, to be able to contribute this much in less than 3 weeks, again, this being our second contribution. And here, I keep forgetting to show you guys this, but this is the one from our first one. Again, if you're curious how long it takes, this is the patch from the first campaign that we did, 69 Sniffer Brigade and Dog We Trust, got the Red Sox label. Obviously, you got the World War II aspects along with the modern war aspects. Again, just kind of representing, my passion for World War II a little bit, but let's see if I get that to stay. Probably not. That's probably going to continue to fall off. Stay, be good. But anyway, we have some of the best patches in the game. We got the Summer of Drones, obviously the name and the title of the campaign. We got the Skyfall patch, the Kherson is Ukraine. And like I said, to be able to say that we've achieved 3/4 of this in less than 3 weeks is incredible. I am humbled. I am so grateful and appreciative of you guys that not only support this community, but support the things that we are passionate about here in this community. So, again, I know I probably ramble on at some points to when congratulating you guys and thanking you guys, but I don't think there's too much congratulation and too much appreciation that could be had in this situation, considering the severity of the moment and the need for equipment, and obviously how much these vehicles go to save frontline soldiers' lives directly. And obviously we're going to the 3rd Operational Battalion, the Artillery Platoon. There's a video here on the Help 99 website that you can check out that is associated with this specific campaign. They tell you, how much they are appreciate what we're doing and how grateful they are and how much they need the rapid transport. And then obviously you can take a look at the donation wall. A lot of people getting their names on there. Kay, Anthony, Michael, Brenda, Kenneth, Robert, Jeremy, Kimberly, just over the last few days. Thank you so much, Roxanne, Richard. And I know I feel bad every time I start the list that we don't read them all. But again, we only have 2 hours in the show. So thank you, everybody that's been contributing. Thank you, everybody making this possible. And thank you, everybody that's sharing, and subscribing. Thank you, everybody getting the merch. Again, if it's not the Team Algae merch, we have some other fantastic stuff on there. Hats, stickers, mugs, T-shirts, sweatshirts. The summer sale going on right now. So you can either, check out the summer sale to get $5 off your shirts, or you can sign up at patreon.com, and then you'll get access to the discount for the merch site as well. So big thank you, not only to Help 99, but also the 69 Sniffer Brigade, the NAFO boys over there, for including us, letting us represent these campaigns, letting us, do what we do here and utilize the platforms that we've built. So again, hopefully the bigger we can grow this platform, the more substantial of a difference we can make, the more contributions we can make, and the less kind of the less burden is on each individual person here in the community as well. So that's another thing, another reason why, I'm desperate to try to continue to grow this platform and grow this community as well, to try to take the focus and the burden off of everybody that's supporting this channel for so long at this point. So much appreciated. But what do you say we get into a little bit of the craziness that was going on today? We had reported on, Donald Trump canceling the signing of this bipartisan housing bill. We went over a little bit this morning of what the housing bill had in it. So if you want to go back and check out the earlier broadcast, we detail a little bit of what is in the housing bill and why Donald Trump doesn't like it. He actually made a comment when he was meeting with the Secretary General of NATO, Mark Rutte, had a comment about how it was less about the SAVE Act and using that as leverage and much more about how he doesn't want the interest rate raised. You know what I mean? He doesn't want to harm, the 1%ers that have all of these properties throughout the country that inevitably will have to pay, a minuscule amount more than they would have before, but it would go on to help substantial of the lower middle class and the lower class, help get them into homes, help it make it more affordable as far as rent, a lot of different things that we listed as far as that were in this bill that was co-written by Elizabeth Warren of Massachusetts and Senator Tim Scott. Again, bipartisan legislation doesn't happen very often, especially legislation that goes to, seemingly, and I'm sure, like I said this morning, there was things that we could chop out, the fat that we could cut out. I'm sure there's some things that we could change and work on. Obviously, some things that we could have done differently and improved on. Absolutely. But a step seemingly in the right direction was this housing bill. So apparently after this whole debacle went down, there was a luncheon between, Donald Trump joined other Republicans, and that's what they called a luncheon. I don't know if it was just a meeting or they had food or whatnot. They just sat there and watched Donald Trump slobber on some McDonald's. But apparently, at some point, he and Bill Cassidy, Senator Bill Cassidy, got into a little dispute. They got into a heated debate. You know what I mean? They got into a little yelling match, a screaming match, as it were. So we're going to take a look at a little of the reporting coming from that. We got some here from CNN. Talking to Bill Cassidy. We got a CNN report here. We got some other reports here. And again, we want to dive into a little bit of this afterwards. What I just said was Donald Trump talking about the fact that he just probably might veto this, the fact that he doesn't like the fact that interest rates would go up. He doesn't want to see that happen. So we got that to come as well. We got some I've had it ladies. I think it's just Jen on this one, if I'm not mistaken, just Jennifer Welch, and she's talking about, what was taking place today and the meeting with Bill Cassidy and other Republicans and the disaster that came from that. So what do you say we dive into a little bit of the coverage coming from this? This is the first one. This is posted by Aaron Rupar, and it's a CNN clip. It says, CNN reports that Bill Cassidy lost his temper with Trump and berated the president for what has transpired with Iran, for not being clear with Congress about his actions in the region. And this is just a short 1 minute, 50-second clip, just kind of detailing and generalizing this story that, again, took place after we got off live this morning. So what do you say we just dive into a little bit of this and see what happened between old Trumpy Poo and Bill Cassidy here?
What we have heard from sources that were in that room and Senator Bill Cassidy himself is that this was an exchange that really escalated with the president. Bill Cassidy telling our colleague Morgan Rimmer just a few moments ago that he lost his temper. Essentially, the president was asking why these 4 Republican senators would vote for this war powers vote last night. And at that point, Cassidy...
And again, further on that point, it was said and reported by multiple outlets that seemed to be the crux of Donald Trump's anger as far as this meeting was concerned. Really had nothing to do with the SAVE Act or, saving elections as far as he's concerned, or anything about the housing bill, really. It didn't seem like he said anything about that until he was sitting down with the NATO Secretary General. But he did have a big problem with the fact that the Congress passed that war powers vote, and the fact that I guess there was a couple Republican senators. I think the one was Mitch McConnell, and the other was somebody that was with Donald Trump at one of his own events. So how the fuck he could have been in 2 places at once is beyond me. But apparently Donald Trump wanted him to make that happen. But just to go on, about that, he wasn't so much pissed off about the SAVE Act. He wasn't so much pissed off about anything as far as the housing bill was concerned. But he definitely had a problem with this war powers vote.
He told our colleague Morgan Rimmer that he asked the president, is that a rhetorical question, or do you want to actually know the answer? The president invited him to share why he voted the way that he did. And essentially, Cassidy berated the president for what has transpired in Iran, for not being clear with Congress.
And again, this is secondhand coming from Bill Cassidy. We do have Bill Cassidy's own statements as he was, I think, walking through the halls of Congress. He was obviously questioned on this, so we have his response coming up as well. This is just kind of a recounting from CNN.
About his actions in the region, and essentially arguing that until he got a more fulsome briefing of what was transpiring, he was going to continue voting the way that he was voting. Cassidy said that the president was raising his voice, and in response, he continued to raise his. He said he lost his temper, that he's not necessarily proud of that fact, but he joked it was the Irish in him. I mean, obviously, this was an extremely tense exchange. A lot of Republican senators coming out of that meeting noted that it had taken place. Some of them, Senator Tommy Tuberville, tried to.
So it seems like, and again, don't get this twisted at all, but it seems like a little bit of flowers here for Cassidy, at least speaking up in the face of Donald Trump around other people and not taking his shit. I can understand to a certain extent the whole a little bit of Irish in me, and that was the Irish in me, especially being here from South Boston. I understand that much, but at least he wasn't like cowed like the rest of these fucking cowards and sat there silent, sitting on their hands. At least he spoke up and gave him a piece of his mind, as big of a piece of shit as Bill Cassidy is. And for whatever reasons Bill Cassidy is doing this, I'm sure it has nothing to do with making the country better. I'm sure it has a lot to do with him, losing his recent race. Like most of the people that decide to speak up at the very last moment, he's got that going for him as well. But at least he didn't sit there and take Donald Trump's shit and look like a pussy in front of everybody. At least he gave it back to him. Who came out on top as far as that is concerned, remains to be seen. But at least he didn't sit there like a little bitch.
Downplay it to me, arguing that it was a really cordial exchange, that they were just having a difference of opinion on the issue of Iran. But obviously there is history here, right, between the president
the impeachment
and Bill
vote.
Cassidy, who recently lost a primary to a Trump-backed challenger, Julia Letlow, just a few weeks ago. So Cassidy has been feeling untethered to the president. Doesn't feel like
right. So it's a lot of these cowards, and again, no love for Cassidy. All I say is at least he didn't sit there and look like an absolute fucking loser like the rest of these people. But he's sitting there. He's got nothing to lose. There's no reason for him to toe the party line. He's got no reason to sit there and kiss the fucking ring of Donald Trump or to lick the boots anymore. But that would have been good. You would have had, it takes guts to do that when you do have something to lose, right? Takes some balls to do that if you do have something to lose. Takes balls to speak up against the things that you don't like to see, or that you're against, or the ridiculous shit being said by your party, or the ridiculous shit being done by your party. Like, that's when you need to speak up, not at like the end when you're being fucking kicked out the door. You got one hand out, you got one leg out the door. Now all of a sudden you want to stand up for what's right and speak out against the bullshit that you see in here. It doesn't really work like that. But there was a couple other moments here where I'll play this real quick, where Bill Cassidy was kind of asked about this situation. This might be a little tough to hear because I don't think whoever's questioning him has a microphone. And then on top of that, the sound on Twitter is shit to begin with. So my apologies, but they kind of get the crux of this here in the text. It says, Senator Bill Cassidy on his spat with President Trump at the Senate GOP lunch. I'm not going to be bullied when I'm trying to get answers for the American people. Again, he was questioning him on Iran, on Trump calling him a lunatic. Can I imagine the president called me the things that would be said on a school playground? Yeah, I can imagine that. So that's just a little portion. Let me know again if you can't understand what's being said here. But this is a little bit of Bill Cassidy's version of the situation, apparently.
Was wondering why people would vote for the War Powers Act. I asked him if that would be a rhetorical question or a real question.
So he starts off by saying he was asking why people voted for that War Powers Act, being Donald Trump asked everybody in the room, all the Republicans, why the hell anybody would vote for that and why more people didn't show up. Bill Cassidy replied stating, hey, is that a rhetorical question or do you really want to hear the answer? And then he goes on from there.
And so as we begin to speak, the president didn't want to hear my question, interrupted me. I didn't care to be interrupted. I felt like I was trying to get answers for the American people.
So Bill Cassidy went to then interject. He went to go tell the president exactly why he was saying what he was saying. He said Donald Trump interrupted him, didn't let him get his thought out, and that kind of led to this yelling match here, which he goes on to say Donald Trump apparently calling him a lunatic, making fun of him for his primary loss. I'm not sure if he brought up the whole impeachment vote. I think I'm correct on the whole impeachment vote as well, which is another bit of animosity, if I'm not mistaken, as to why Donald Trump doesn't like Bill Cassidy.
and I'm not going to be bullied when I'm trying to get answers for the American people. And
So he says, I'm not going to be bullied while I'm trying to get answers for the American people.
So it escalated from there. At some point, it de-escalated.
We're told the president called you a lunatic?
Can I imagine that the president called me things that would be said on the school, on a playground? Yeah, I can imagine that.
Does it bother you that he went after Leader McConnell, who wasn't here to defend himself?
If there's somebody I know who's got thick skin, it's Leader McConnell.
And I mean,
Well, that's just absolutely false. I mean, if it's somebody that I know that doesn't have fucking thinner skin, it's probably McConnell at this point, okay? You could fucking fight in the general vicinity of Mitch McConnell right now, and you'd probably rupture some blood vessels. I'm sure he'd probably get a laceration from the fucking fart spray. You know what I mean? Like, you couldn't laugh hard around Mitch McConnell right now. The motherfucker might fall over. Okay, so if anybody's got thin skin at this very moment in time, it's Mitch McConnell. But the fact that he wasn't there, I don't know, what did he have, some health complications? I don't think I ever really heard the reason as to why Mitch McConnell wasn't there, if he had some prior obligations or whatnot. But apparently, like I said, Donald Trump wondering why Mitch McConnell and a few others weren't there to vote against this and why it ultimately passed. He calls it useless. But again, we don't know the conclusion to whatever, ceasefire and whatever peace talks are actually going on right now. I mean, at any point in time, Donald Trump could threaten, to blow up another girls' school. And next thing you know, we're back to square one. Iran walks away from the table. They're fucking ripping up the MOU. So we don't know exactly what's going to come from that. So to have that on record, to have that there is very important. And it's definitely not meaningless as much as we would have liked to have seen this well before, the action kicked off as far as getting, the getting Congress on record as to where they stand. Are they for war with Iran? Or are they against war with Iran? So, I can see to a point why it seems meaningless, but for here going forward, we still don't know what's going to happen. This isn't an assured outcome by any stretch of the imagination as far as this MOU and any finalized peace as far as the Iran war is concerned. But there was a couple other moments as well where I think it was on this, if I'm not mistaken, with Bill Cassidy. I think there was some audio from where he's questioned about this as well. So let's see if there's anything he says further to detail what actually happened with his yelling match between him and Donald Trump. I don't think this is the same. I think it might be different. If not, it might just be clearer to hear.
You have not told the American people what's going on. It was supposed to last 4 weeks. It's lasted 4 months.
So he says, you have not told the American people what's going on. So this is basically what little response he got out to Donald Trump as far as, why people voted for this War Powers Act. As far as the Republicans and Bill Cassidy, who he's speaking for, he basically said, what you've told the American public as far as goals stated is not what we've achieved by any stretch of the imagination. He doesn't believe that Trump was telling the truth to the American people, which is blatantly obvious, right? So, and then that's what kind of leads to this, the ongoing feud. But let's see what else he got to say.
Our original objectives have not been achieved.
So he says the original objectives have not been achieved. I know it's a little bit hard to understand. My apologies.
And I want to know what's going on.
He says, I want to know what's going on.
We care for my comments. Raised his voice. I lost my temper.
He says he didn't care for my comments, so he raised his voice. I, in turn, lost my temper. And that's, again, Bill Cassidy saying he lost his temper in response to Donald Trump raising his voice to him originally.
That's not appropriate. It's the Irish in me. But I, again, matched his tone and his volume.
So he says, that's the Irish in me. Obviously, it's not professional, but I matched his tone. I matched his volume. Again, giving you an indication as to how Donald Trump was speaking to Bill Cassidy to begin with. So again, Bill Cassidy stating that he was just kind of matching the energy, really, of Donald Trump in the room at the moment.
And it went back and forth. You have not told him.
So, and then at the end of that, he says it just went back and forth. So to some degree, he's trying to play this down. Obviously, they're going to do that. They don't want to make this into a much bigger thing than it needs to be. It doesn't look well, doesn't look good for the Republicans at all. Doesn't look like a cohesive bunch, especially where Mike Johnson and the rest of these morons were out this morning announcing and proclaiming their victory as far as this housing bill was concerned at the exact moment simultaneously as Donald Trump's basically sticking his fist directly up their ass and saying, screw you guys. I don't care if I make you look like an idiot right now. So again, he's making life pretty much a living hell for Mike Johnson, but Mike Johnson continues to toe the party line. This was another moment here people are speaking about where Donald Trump comes out and, you can tell he's agitated. You can tell he's frustrated. I don't know if they actually played this clip here. Let me see if I can find that quick clip so I don't have to listen to fucking Jake Tapper talk at all. Was it this one here where he finally comes out? Yeah, I think this was it. So let me play this clip real quick because you can tell how agitated he is. Well, that doesn't seem like the one either because I feel like John Thune is walking to the right of him on the one that I'm thinking of. So let me see if I can scroll down a little bit. See if there's, oh yeah, people speaking about this as well. Donald Trump's hand looking like fucking, I don't know. He must wipe his ass with the back of his right hand. That's the only thing I can really think of, unless he's been like, I don't know, secretly dipping his hand in the hydrogen peroxide. They've been dumping in the reflecting pool. Other than that, I'm not sure because that just looks like, again, that I've seen hands like that many, many times, right? As an Irish Catholic from fucking South Boston, believe me, I've been to enough wakes to have seen hands like that. And typically what they're attached to is no longer breathing. Okay. Typically it's got like weird fucking makeup on. And typically the hands are in like a position like this. Really, when you see a hand like that, my first thought was, okay, where's the thing that I kneel down on so that I can say my fucking piece here so that I can go afterwards and shake the family's hand and give them hugs and kisses and shit. Like, that's what I would think when I saw this hand. If somebody showed me that hand, I'd be like, all right, what wake and funeral did that come from? And why is the body seemingly upright at this point? You know what I mean? Why is the body not horizontal like? I mean, what do you guys think when you see something like this? Right? What do you see? Not much longer, right? I think NFL, right? When I was young, man, I'm forgetting who it was by. My dad could probably tell me in the chat if he's listening, but we used to have an autograph from, God damn it, I can't remember right now, from somebody in the NFL, used to play for the Patriots, but knew he was getting traded. And he had signed, I forget now if it was a football or a piece of paper or a playing card, but he signed an NFL. And what NFL meant was not for long. And again, if you're in the chat, let me know in the chat. Let people know in the chat if you remember who I'm talking about. But it said not for long. And I feel like that is the correct like initials that should be, associated with a hand like this, not for long, you know what I mean? Or like not long for the earth. Like, I don't know what I mean? That doesn't really flow really, but anyway, not really looking good. That's pretty much the consensus. That's pretty much the obvious consensus of what people are talking about. I swear, I don't know. I just, oh, Jesus Christ almighty. Not for long, baby. Not for long. But yeah, this is the moment that I'm talking about. I don't know if I'll find the exact, but you can tell John Thune does not want to talk to the media, right? John Thune, when he's walking out, you can tell he wants to get past the media as quickly as possible with answering the least amount of questions as humanly possible coming out of what was this screaming match that they just had. Trump, on the other hand, is desperate to have more media attention, so he's not going to let that happen. So he pretty much stops. He does the old, what my dad used to do when somebody fucking cut us off in traffic, right? Even though I did have a seatbelt on, he'd still, reach out the old arm. I'm sure you guys have that. I'm sure you got parents have done something similar, but every time, we had like, a situation where he had to hit the brakes just a little bit harder than typical, like he'd put the old arm out, right? It'd stop you from going forward. And I appreciate it, but that's kind of what Trump did to John Thune here. It was like, nope. You stop. We're going to answer questions. I want to tout how great that meeting just was and how much I hate people. You know what I mean? But again, I think it's this one right here. Let me see. Because I was going to say, I'm pretty sure Midas Touch or Aaron have it. Yeah. Check it out. Yeah, here, right here. Let me make it a little bigger on the screen because you can tell. Watch John Thune, right? He's pretty much got his head down. He's almost doing the politician's version of this, like walking by people like, nope, they don't see me. Or like pretending you have a phone call when we can see on the other side that you're clearly not speaking to anybody. You know what I mean? Like we've seen a ton of politicians do that where they don't want to answer questions like, yeah. No, I'm on. No, can't answer questions right now. We can see your phone, asshole. We can see that you're clearly not speaking to anybody. You know what I mean? But watch John Thune and then listen to Trump as he clearly seems agitated here, and he clearly, can't get it out without, calling out the few people in the room that he clearly doesn't like, as he states. But yeah, I'll just play this quick clip. John Thune's like, yep, hi, bye. I'm out of here. Trump literally gives him the fucking stiff arm. Trump hits him with the 40-yard dash stiff arm right there, right? Like the safety's the last one left. Look at the stiff arm, bro. Are you shitting me? Who the fuck he thinks he is? Jerome Bettis? First of all, he's coming with the peace sign, huh? Which is ironic considering the amount of military force that Donald Trump's been responsible for in his second term here. Pretty ironic to be given the peace sign at this point in time. You know what I mean? But, watch the stiff arm again. Here we go. Going down midfield. All we got to do is the safety's encroaching on my territory. No, John thinks he's getting away. Nope, you're not getting away, John. We're going to have to sit here and answer some questions, and you're going to sit here and kiss my shoes for a couple minutes. Let me get my ring out so you can slobber all over that, baby. Let's try to convince the media here that everything's copacetic. Everything went well in that meeting. There was no yelling or screaming at all. We're definitely a cohesive bunch, and we're definitely not ruining this country. All right, I'll let it play real quick. This is that moment.
The war is going very well. As you know, we're winning by a lot.
The war. So all of a sudden he's like really, really capable of calling it a war, and don't mind the fucking human penis, Stephen Miller in the background there that you can see. Why that like that exposure, that human exposure is allowed in public still is beyond me. So don't pay any attention to, again, the human penis standing behind Donald Trump's right shoulder there and Stephen Miller. My apologies for leaving that on the screen too long. But yeah, now honestly, I just looked at Stephen Miller and I totally forgot what I was talking about. My apologies, but that has that effect. You know what I mean?
Iran is making very big.
Oh, the war. That he's so readily available now to call it a war. Now that it's like nothing happening at this point in time, but when it was like bombs being dropped and girls' schools being hit and bridges being taken out and water treatment plants being hit and infrastructure being destroyed and boats being destroyed and fucking F-35s being shot down, AH-64s being shot down, F-15s, F-18s, bases in the Middle East being shot into shit. That wasn't a war. That was just a special military operation, taking a page out of fucking Putin's book. Trump did on that one. Couldn't think for himself, right? So he's like, you know what? My best friend calls it a special military operation and has been doing so for fucking 5 years now. So why don't we just roll with that? Apparently, but yeah, just ready to call it a war at this point. Now that we're at the point that we're at.
Sessions. We'll see what happens, but it's been very, very, very powerful. It's going very, very well.
Oh, they don't get to the clip there where he actually talks about the people in the room. He likes a lot of the people. They get along great. Some people, obviously, he doesn't get along with so great, was kind of along the lines of something that he said there. But there was a few other ones. There was this one here as well, kind of pertaining to this whole thing, which was some people were pointing out, Jake Sherman here pointed out, it sounds like Trump has actual policy problems with the housing bill. So it wasn't just like a use of leverage that we were kind of suspecting, or people were suspecting this morning, that he was just kind of leveraging this House bill so that people voted for the Save America Act or whatever the fuck he calls it there, so they can rig elections for Republicans for some time to come there. But apparently now, in his little meeting that he had with the Secretary General of NATO, Mark Rutte, he actually espoused some of his actual policy problems that he had with the housing bill. So now, as Jake Sherman puts it, he may just veto this. But again, even if, like we talked about this morning, even if he does veto this, it seems like Congress has the votes to override that veto. Right. So as we talked about this morning, a lot of people bringing up the point and the fact that, it has to be signed within 10 days. If it's not signed within 10 days, it becomes law anyway. And then again, even if he does veto this, like I just stated, it seems like Congress has the votes to override that veto. So either way on this, it seems like Trump is screwed, but he is at least espousing some reason that or some belief that he wants Republicans to interject further in trying to stop this bill. And the question is, will you veto the housing bill? And says Trump says, look, I made billions of dollars using housing. I know housing better than anybody, maybe anywhere, as he says about everything. Remember when he said that about the nuclear? He's the smartest man in the world because he knows more about uranium and nuclear than anybody else.
You know what uranium is, right? It's a thing called nuclear weapons and other things. Like lots of things are done with uranium, including some bad things.
Some bad things are done with uranium, boy. He couldn't tell you one fucking thing. Couldn't tell you one use of it, basically, other than nuclear. But other than that, he's a genius and knows the most about everything, especially Granite Caves. Granite Caves, he's a fucking genius about Granite Caves because he knows that they're, in most cases, the most powerful caves that you could have. You know what I mean? Because, there's a ranking system of how powerful caves are a lot of the time. And apparently Donald Trump knows that ranking by heart here. But yeah, this is where he states that he's made billions of dollars by swindling people in the housing market. And then he says basically that it's all about the interest rate. He doesn't want rich people, he says, to hurt people. But what he really means is he doesn't want to hurt rich people that own a shitload of homes, basically, and other, 1%ers that will be affected by this. So here's what Trump said in this 41-second clip real quick.
About what?
The housing bill that you didn't sign today.
No, I said I'm not signing the housing bill. I want to see what happens. We said, look, the housing bill is housing. I made billions of dollars with housing. I know housing better than anybody, maybe anywhere. It's all about the interest rate.
Says the guy never built a fucking house. Never built a house. Big difference between slapping your name on somebody else's construction of a fucking skyscraper and building an actual house, right? Mar-a-Lago, I don't think he built that one, right? I think he's probably hired a lot of construction workers to come in and renovate properties. But as far as him sitting there drawing up fucking blueprints and building fucking properties and doing shit, he doesn't know dick about construction. We recognize that, and he made it very apparent when he was trying to go through his ballroom construction. He's like, yeah, it was like Tommy Boy, right? Or is it Black Sheep? I'm forgetting at this point. Every time I get on live, I never know anything. But it's one of the Chris Farley movies. No, it's got to be Tommy Boy. It's Tommy Boy, where he's walking through his father's plant and he's pointing out, yeah, the girders and the rotary girders and shit. Like, that's what I get from Trump, where he's trying to point out shit on like a construction site. Yeah, look at the poles and the metal in the beams and the curtains and shit. Like, he comes in and he fucking just shits gold everywhere, right? He says, get me a gold couch, get me some gold curtains, get me a gold sink, get me a gold shitter, because I need to put my files in there somewhere. All the classified files that I need them to be around gold somehow, like they were in the White House. I don't want to make them feel lonely. But that's what he does. That's his fucking forte. He comes in, he picks the fucking linens, he picks the rugs, right? The little finishing knobs and touches and shit, I'm sure. They show him a bunch of catalogs, and he fucking farts through it while he's shitting in his diaper a lot of the time, pretending to do work, right? That's his forte. Building the shit, not so much, okay? Slapping your fucking dumbass name on the front of the building don't mean you built the fucking thing, okay? So don't get it twisted.
Lower the interest rates. You can have all the housing you want. But you have to understand, I don't want to hurt people that own houses too. Yeah. These people, for the first time in their lives, they have valuable houses. They become rich. I don't want to hurt them either.
So what he's saying is he doesn't want to hurt the rich. He doesn't want to hurt the people that have now somehow acquired their fucking multi-million-dollar home that they've been fucking shooting for God knows how long, right? Yeah, not thinking about the lower class, not thinking about the lower middle class, or the middle class in general at this point in time, and how much it would go on to affect and help people. And I think there was actually another clip that I had. Let me see here, because there was somebody that was against the housing bill to begin with and basically said that it was all going to illegals. Let me see if I can find that real. Oh, yeah, it was this asshole right here, Tommy Tuberville. Let me throw this on the screen real quick, because Tommy Tuberville, who was one of the 5 senators to oppose this bipartisan bill originally, now comes up with a reason as to why he voted against it. Pretty much that it was going to HUD, right? And HUD, as you'll know if you've been watching Republican politics enough, HUD is basically a different byword. It's kind of like, I don't even know. It's like a dog whistle for black people at this point, right? So they don't want to see any money going to HUD. They don't want to see HUD being, made to be, helpful to the people that utilize that. They don't want to see that at all. So as soon as they see HUD, they think black people, and they're like, I ain't voting for it. Especially this fucking racist prick, Tommy Tuberville here. But he goes on to say, well, one is going to HUD, and HUD is bad because black people and HUD and shit, right? Fucking shit and black people and shit. And then he goes on to say, well, anyways, if it's not going to black people, it must be going to criminal illegals or something like that. That's why I voted against it. So again, here's Tommy Tuberville's racist ass and why he was one of the original 5. Shut up. You fucking speak when spoken to, you son of a bitch. You don't play before that. But anyway, like I said, Tommy Tuberville here is racist ass, basically stating why he voted against this. One of the 5, Republican senators that voted against this originally. And then here, why he says, he thinks all this money's going to criminal illegals, anything that was being invested into this housing bill here.
Housing Act, I know you voted against it,
but it had support. We saw Mike Johnson speaking about it as if it was about to be signed this afternoon. And while he was talking about it, he learned that the president had posted on Trump's Truth Social that he wasn't going to sign it because he's waiting for the SAVE Act. The housing bill was
Irving Fryer, if I'm not mistaken. Sorry, I'm just like, it's one of those times where you pop up in the middle of your sleep and remember the thing that you couldn't remember in the middle of the day. I believe it was Irving Fryer that was playing for the Patriots that gave me his autograph that signed it NFL. Correct me if I'm wrong, Dad. I could be wrong, but that's the name that just popped into my head. So that's what I'm rolling with at this point in time.
designed to help, loosen up the economy a little bit, make things more affordable for people.
Yeah, God forbid, loosen up the economy a little bit, make things a little bit more affordable for people. Like, that would be fucking terrible, right? I mean, lowering the rent for a lot of people, you know what I mean? It's like, oh, God forbid more people got into homes. God forbid we actually, opened up more accessibility to the homes in this country and stop letting fucking corporations go and accrue all of these private homes and sit on them so that the price of the other homes goes up, you know what I mean, substantially. So it'd be a shame if we actually did something for the lower class, the lower middle class, and the middle class, as opposed to, and he even says it here. He says, will it, he says it's not, at first he says it's not going to help the middle class. And then at the end of this, he goes on to state, well, it's probably going to help a little of the middle class, but we're also going to have to deal with some of it going to illegal. So he actually acknowledges that it will go help a substantial portion, right? Or if not just a minute portion. Wouldn't you want to do that if you're a fucking senator in this country? Even if you knew it was going to have just a small portion of the people in this country, right? And it wasn't going to negatively impact people. Wouldn't you still want to vote for that? Wouldn't you still, isn't that your fucking job at this point, is to help benefit the American people, help make their lives easier, help make their lives more affordable, help make it so they have easier access to fucking healthcare so that people in this country can actually live out whatever that stupid fucking American dream is at this point and actually buy a goddamn home, right? Like, I don't know, just some of these things. Like, it seems crazy. It seems radical. I know they call us radical for espousing these beliefs and wanting to see these things, but I feel like that's just like the general purview of what a fucking politician in this country should be working for. But again, ask Tommy Tuberville, and none of those things can be possible because you can't just help a little bit of the middle class. Apparently, if one or two people are going to be able to suck off the tea to the system, as he likes to say here.
Your take on that not being signed today?
Well, a good question. First of all, I was one of the 5 that voted against it.
Yes.
Here's why I voted against it. It's mostly for HUD. We're $39 trillion in debt.
The first thing you mentioned, it's mostly fucking marble mouth over here. Mr. fucking rocks in his mouth. Can't understand a goddamn word he says. I can understand a lot of the times that I've worked on job sites in the years that I've been doing construction and roofing and plumbing and fucking all of it, right? I've understood a lot of fucking immigrants. I've understood a lot of people from Peru and Brazil and Ecuador and a lot of these other places that are fucking fantastic people and unbelievable fucking workers, better than I understand this fucking cocksucker, right? Better than I understand fucking rocks in his mouth Tommy Tuberville at this point. So I don't know what his problem is, but apparently you can tell what it is because HUD's the first thing that came out of his mouth, and then criminal illegals is probably going to be, I don't know, the 13th or 14th thing out of his mouth here.
More money to a department that to me is just pushing money out the door, and we don't know where it goes most of the times.
We have absolutely no idea what HUD does with their money. I'm sure there's no accounting that we could look at of what HUD actually is responsible for, where the money goes, how much money they take in, what the fucking funding is, what their budget is every single year. Like, I'm sure there's just absolutely no paperwork anywhere in the the United States government that could tell us what's going on with HUD, right? No, it's not the Pentagon, dickhead, right? It's not a Pentagon that fails audit after audit after audit after audit after audit, is fucking losing billions and billions of dollars like they're fucking changing shirts and underwear in that motherfucker, right? No, it's HUD. We do understand. And it's the dickheads, unfortunately, that Donald Trump continues to put in charge of that agency when he's in charge of the federal government, that goes to help push these fucking conspiracies and these, the problems that say, involved with HUD. It's because of the idiots that are in fucking charge when Donald Trump's in office. But yeah, listen to Howie again. He has to bring in illegals. He didn't really hit home with the HUD thing. So he thinks if he just says the word illegals on Fox News, that'll at least buy him out of whatever trouble he's in this segment.
Most of it's probably going to illegals living in this country. It's not going to help the middle class. And if it helped the middle class, I'd be all in. But I think this.
So he says most of it is probably. So apparently he didn't read the fucking thing. Okay? Apparently he doesn't know the fine text. He doesn't know the fine print on this. Doesn't know exactly what's being funded, where it's going. But he's just assuming at this point that it's probably going to go right out the back door to some black people and immigrants, motherfucker. Like, we can't have that happen. Hell no, we can't. That's another DEI fucking policy right there, and I ain't voting for that. I ain't voting for that. Fucking helping the middle class? Absolutely not, motherfucker. I ain't helping no middle class. Absolutely not. If one illegal is going to get $1 from this, I ain't helping millions of people. No way. Ain't no way.
This is a bill that might touch a little bit of the middle classes, but it's going to go to
literally the next sentence. It's not going to help the middle class. The next sentence he says is it might help and touch a little bit of the middle class. So right there acknowledges that it absolutely will go on to help. And again, if it helps the fucking middle class, it's damn sure going to help the lower class, right? You know what I mean? Like, wouldn't that help lift people out of that lower class in some, in some circumstances, bump them up into that, whatever is considered middle class at this point in time? No, God forbid, anybody that's involved with the federal government right now, bends the knee and votes for something that would actually, again, be a single solitary step in the right direction. By no means a fix, by no means like a drastic change, but absolutely a step in the right direction, again, by what we went over this morning from what was in this bill. But again, Tommy Tuberville, no real surprise or shock from the statements from him. What was next here that I wanted to go over? I think there was a little bit more from, let me see, was it this one? I'll take this off the screen so you don't have to stare at Donald Trump's hands. My apologies there. But I think there was another update about this situation. I don't know if we're going to beat a dead horse here, but I think there was this. Oh, nope, that one. This one. Nope, that one. This one. That I want to throw on the screen here. This was one by CBS. And again, they were just kind of doing a general kind of update on this situation as well. But again, like I said, I don't think we need to beat a dead horse. So why don't we go into this Jennifer Welch video from I've Had It, where she goes into Trump going berserk and cancels vote. Furious GOP insiders trash him publicly. And I'm just curious what she thought about this whole debacle this morning of the vote being canceled. The Republicans looking like dickheads at their press conference, announcing with their little pom-poms the housing bill, as Donald Trump's taking a shotgun and shooting that shit down at the same time. And then obviously this ongoing screaming match with Bill Cassidy, the cover up from it, and again, what's going on there. So I just figured we'd take a little look at Jennifer Welch and what she has to say about this situation. If you guys could hit that like button if you haven't already, if you could subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already, that would be an even bigger help. You can sign up for a YouTube membership if that's what if you like what you're hearing, if you like what you're seeing, if you like the the things and the beliefs and the policies that we that we espouse here, then think about joining the YouTube memberships here. You can also gift out those memberships to fantastic people in the chat, and you can also sign up at patreon.com/BostonBrian and get some fantastic merch at bostonbrian.com. Again, we are an independent channel. We don't sell you anything. We have no ad reads. We don't interrupt the channel, the show with a bunch of commercials. We don't charge for our Substack. There is no content hidden behind a paywall. It is literally all because of the generosity and the contributions from the people in the chat and this community that we've built here at Blunt Politics. So again, let's get into a little bit of this Jennifer Welch video where she's just kind of reacting to a little bit of the craziness coming from the Republicans and Donald Trump today.
All right, Trump's polling numbers must be really, really bad. I think he got some internal poll numbers. And how I know this is because he just posted this on Lie Social. Pop this up. My real poll numbers are the highest they have ever been. Thank you, President DJT. So we know that over the weekend or earlier this week, Trump's approval hit.
Honestly, imagine being that utterly delusional. And I just have a quick clip here from CNN and Harry Enton, I believe, detailing Trump's actual numbers and how they're still in the shitter, much like they were, a couple weeks ago at this point in time. But, I'll play that in a little bit. But to be this delusional, to put on Truth Social that you have the best polling numbers that you've ever had at a time where you've literally never been less popular, where more people in this country despise and disapprove of what you've been doing than at any point before since you've been president. Like, it's just mind-numbingly stupid. And the people that go along with this, the people that know better, the people that have seen the polling numbers that are in the Republican Party and the MAGA bootlickers that are still involved in defending and obfuscating for this dickhead, like, how is it fucking possible that you can sit there and watch this demented old fool time and time again say he's got the best polling numbers, and then you yourself, with fucking hands, with digits and eyes and shit, can fucking type into a computer or fucking speak into your cell phone and be like, hey, what are the actual polling numbers? And you can bring them up and you can look at them and you can say, that's funny. He says they're the best. I'm looking at the worst. So there's got to be some fucking discrepancy there. Is it because he's a demented fool? Is it because he's a fascist fucking liar? Like, it's got to be something there, right? So again, I just never understood the whole like seeing it with your own eyes, but still being able to lie to your audience, right? Like that whole thing. And I understand they make a lot of money, and there's billionaire donors that love to back these Republican fucking morons, especially on Twitter, and especially, you know, people like Benny Johnson, Tim Pool, Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson, yada, yada, yada. The list goes on. But it's like, I don't know. I just couldn't do it. Couldn't fucking do it. Really couldn't. You know, I don't know. I don't know if it's like too honest is the word, or like, you know, honest to a fault, or I just couldn't fucking, I just wouldn't be able to sit here and on a daily basis just propagandize you guys to the fucking ends of the earth, right? Just to see with my own eyes the polling numbers in the morning, and then to see Donald Trump post on Truth Social that he's got the best fucking polling numbers that he's ever had, and then go on to record a video being like, yeah, what Donald Trump said is true. It's like, I couldn't do it. I really fucking couldn't do it.
A record low of 30%. This is in Richard Nixon and lower territory in a new AGR poll. A new Pew Research Center survey across 36 nations finds a median of just 23% of adults expressing confidence in Trump's leadership of world affairs. So I think that
36 different nations, right? 36 different nations. So maybe that like 25 to 30% number that we've seen time and time again here in the United States, as far as morons, idiots, and just fucking sycophants that no matter what happens, what Donald Trump does, says, rapes, you know, how many times he storms the Capitals with his fucking, you know, with his little gang that he's got there, no matter how many people shit on the floor at the Capitol, no matter how many nooses and gallows are built outside the Capitol, no matter how many times he cheats on his wife 5 months after she gave birth with a porn star, like none of those things really matter. But like, it seems like that 25 to 30%, maybe like a worldly number as far as people that are fucking morons. You know what I mean? Maybe that's just like, I don't know, that's just a percentage that just kind of floats its way throughout the planet. Like there's just 30% of the planet that are just fucking morons. You know what I mean? You know, I'd like to think there's less, but in some instances when you go outside, you almost swear there's more. So I don't know. I feel like 25, 23%, whatever she said there, but I believe she's referencing, you know, a poll from 36 different nations that were asked, or, you know, again, polled on Donald Trump's handling of world affairs. And 23% basically said that they approved. They were in the approving category. And the rest of the people were in the sane category, obviously, the category of reality and looking and recognizing at the, you know, the severe damages that Donald Trump is responsible for on the world stage here.
this is a great way that we can see what percentage of the world is nuts. 23%. So listener, viewer, we are in the strong majority. So what is he going to do now?
Yeah, she's right though. Congratulations, chat. Congratulations. Just give yourself a little round of applause. W Chad here for being on the winning side again. We call the correct side of history. But again, we are in the majority still, not only here in the United States, but also on the planet. I know it doesn't seem like that, may not feel like that, but again, I do believe that we're in the vast majority as people that recognize authoritarianism, recognize fascism, recognize the fascist creep that we've been on here in the United States, and obviously the effect that it's having on the rest of the world. Obviously things that happen here in the United States have a way of trickling down to other countries. So, what happens here is very important. Has a way of delegating and kind of showing us what the future means for the rest of the planet. Lesser so now because of our kind of lessened state on the world stage. Obviously, lack of respect, lack of trust that Donald Trump and the Republican Party are almost wholly responsible for at this point. But that's kind of degraded us. And obviously the I don't know, I want to say the lack of military power. I know that may sound wrong, but it was pretty much confirmed that Iran could withstand not only the United States military power, or the power that we were, at least willing to put up, but also that military power in conjunction with another, what is supposed to be one of the strongest, best, most powerful, most, technologically advanced militaries in the IDF in Israel over there. Not only that, but the blockade that the United States Navy put in place, people are going to have to respect and recognize that Iran had a much better ability to withstand that than originally anticipated. right? You know what I mean? We continue to bring that up, not only bringing up the United States intelligence assessment because of the stockpiles that Iran still has left, even after the substantial amount of targets that Donald Trump says they struck, even after the Navy has been eradicated and the Air Force has been eliminated and they're on the 14th, 15th string of the leadership, whatever he says. Well, the intel assessments in a lot of those cases disagree strongly with everything that people like Pete Kegsbreath and Donald Trump are trying to espouse and portray as far as victories in the Iran war.
Because the polling is abysmal. A blue wave is imminent. And I think it's going to be a blue tsunami. I think, my personal opinion, is they've done all sorts of illegal things in the executive branch. Not only him, but all of the sycophants surrounding him. So they're freaking out. So little Moses Mike was about to sign a bill, this big bipartisan housing bill, and it all comes crashing down because Trump is holding the SAVE Act hostage. It is his last ditch effort. Hail Mary. Pop this up. Kyle Griffin is reporting that Trump just said he's not signing the bipartisan housing bill to address the housing affordability crisis until the Save America Act is passed. The Save Act, designed to help rig elections, does not have the votes to pass. So this is a desperate person doing desperate things. The bill represented the affordable housing bill that he was supposed to sign. It represented one of the most sweeping efforts in decades to increase housing supply and bring prices down, led by Elizabeth Warren and Tim Scott. Bipartisanship support. Donald Trump doesn't care about affordable housing because we pay for his house. He's $6-7 billion richer because he's using the United States of America to enrich himself. He just found out what the word grocery was a couple of years ago. This guy has no idea what it's like to be an American. All he knows is self-preservation. And that's why he is trying to disenfranchise women, because he polls really, really bad with women. And here is little Moses Mike, or as I like to call him, Little Grinder, mid-speech.
Mike Tiny Johnson?
And he's told mid-speech that Trump is...
And again, this is the funny thing. This is like, again, just these people looking like absolute dickheads out there with their pom-poms, getting ready to cheerlead the successful signing of this housing bill. Next thing you know, Donald Trump, like I said, just sitting in the Oval Office with a shotgun shooting this shit down as Mike Johnson's in front of cameras. So, again, this is that moment.
Not going to sign the bill. Play the clip.
In the process of this press conference, President Trump announced that he is canceling the bill signing for the housing bill that you all were just talking about. He said he's canceling it until the SAVE Act is passed, and he called this housing bill, which passed with such bipartisan support, of minor importance, and said it pales in comparison to the SAVE Act. What is your reaction?
Like Mike's like, all right, how can I crawl out of Donald Trump's asshole to defend this one? How can I look like a dickhead and make Donald Trump look good in all this? How can I make it seem like this is a really sane move by somebody that doesn't just want to throw a fucking wrench in the gears when, again, we're sitting here with the fucking, all the seats are set up, the microphones are set up, the signing where he's going to sign, all taken care of, media's been all prepped and shit. Meanwhile, we're up here announcing it, and he's in the background shooting it down. But again, Mike Tiny Johnson's going to sit here and try to make it seem like it was, a genius political move and exactly what this country needed. And he's, again, for any decision that's made by President Trump. I'm sure he's going to say something along those lines.
My reaction is the truth of the matter. I spoke to the president for 20 minutes before I went in and gave that rousing speech to the House Republicans as well. He and I've talked about this a lot. He has expressed the priority and the preference of the Save America Act. We share that.
Okay, put that back up. You always see these three with Little Grinder. And you always see these three people here. I think that's Scalise and that gal in the purple. She's always there. I mean, these are
wasn't this guy one of the co-sponsors to the bill as well, if I'm not mistaken?
Such dipshit collaborators. It almost seems like a compliment to call them fascist collaborators. That almost seems like to call them fascists, they would have had to accomplish something. This is just full-blown dipshit, sicko-fancy collaboration. But according to Punch Bowl News, Trump reportedly told Little Grinder earlier this week that no one gives a shit about housing. And so that's true because in Trump's world, nobody cares. Stephen Miller lives on
Which is crazy, right? I mean, the list of fucking quotes right now that would shoot down any candidacy, shoot down any, midterm prospects for, the Republican Party, in like Donald Trump saying he doesn't care about the economic pressures placed upon the American people because of his war with Iran. This one here, I don't give a shit about housing. I love inflation. You know what I mean? Just a few of the bangers from Donald Trump that that should be fucking ammunition in the chambers of every single Democrat going into midterms, right? I mean, if you can't get a commercial out of the president of the United States saying he doesn't give a shit about housing, as we have people living on the streets, as we have homeless veterans, as we have the housing crisis we have here in this country, right? As we have the exponential rise in fucking, the cost of housing, the impossibility of buying a house young at this fucking point in time, like all those things that we have in Donald Trump, especially the raise in gas prices, the raise in, grocery prices, the threats placed upon us as far as like the oil reserves and what that would have meant, not to mention if the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, came into play or at some point still comes into play, because again, we're still not out of the woods yet as far as this whole Iran situation is concerned. I mean, the way that things can change on a dime because of something that Donald Trump says or does leads us to a situation where until that fucking bill is signed, and even after that bill is signed, we're still not out of the water, really. But all right, let's see. I think that's we dive on to our next video I wanted to look at here, which I believe, just to kind of shoot down a little bit of, Trump's ridiculous insanity that he's been posting to say that he's got the best poll numbers. Again, not that they've really changed much as Harry Enton dictates here. But, he's talking about, the numbers here. It's titled actually Trump's tanked approval, measuring the midterms and more. So let me just see. There's a couple minutes in here where he gets this friggin' thing working, because I think the first couple minutes he's having some problems with his screen here. But let me just go into a little bit of this where he's talking about the numbers for Donald Trump, just to kind of shoot down Donald Trump's Truth Social post, right? I know we don't need to. I know you guys know the truth. I know you guys know better, but just to drill it home a little bit real quick. Play.
Or I could merely say this. Look, people disapproved of Trump 2 months ago. His disapproval rating was 64%. Last month, it was 66%. And this month, it is the same, 64%. Okay. So what we're talking about is that Americans, you can pay attention to me here, Americans still disapprove of the job that Donald Trump is doing on Iran. And 75% of independents disapprove of the job that Donald Trump is doing on Iran. So regardless of...
That's got to be, I'm sure, that's got to be a record number for Donald Trump in some case, right? So where he says he's got the best numbers, maybe he's got the fucking graph upside down. Maybe that's how they get it around Donald Trump. They just hand him all of these polls, but they hand it to him upside down. Maybe they flip the print on it. They'll flip the text on it to make it seem like it's not upside down. But the actual graph that says, what the numbers are, like maybe I'm pretty sure they might have that flipped upside down every time they show them. But here, again, 75% of independents disapprove of the handling of this situation by Donald Trump. Is that a good thing? Is he espousing that to be one of the best poll numbers that he's gotten? So, he's been living his entire political career with higher than 75% of independents disapproving of what he's doing. I don't know. That's what I gather from him having his best poll numbers, as he stated. Somehow they had to be worse than this, right?
Any deal that was made, the American people still disapprove of the job that Donald Trump is doing on Iran, despite whatever he's doing.
If you ever wondered if Harry didn't have all these numbers just bouncing around in his head, now you know. He doesn't even need the board. He just needs a chalkboard, and it's all good. And that is why we...
Look at this.
It worked!
No, we did it. We did it. And I got the numbers right.
You did.
Disapprove of Trump on Iran.
They're celebrating, in case you're like, what the fuck's going on here? They're celebrating because, again, the screen wasn't working at the beginning of the clip. He was pressing it. It wasn't working. So they're jumping for joy now that it's working.
And in April, it was 64%. Now, in May, it was 66%.
So, again, this is what he's referencing here. People that disapprove, percentage of people that disapprove of Trump on Iran, including 75% of independents. In April, it was 64%, May 66%, now 64%, right? So again, 64% say they disapprove of Trump's handling of Iran. So how that goes to equate some of his best polling numbers, I'll let you be the judge, apparently. Again, utter bullshit, right? Clearly disproven, clearly not reality. But again, will be touted, will be towed by all of the MAGA dickheads, especially on Twitter and the rest of these morons that have YouTube channels and shit.
And now it is 64%. And the 75% of independents disapprove of Trump on Iran. The bottom line is this. No matter what deal has been made, the clear majority, 2/3 of Americans still disapprove of the job that Donald Trump is doing when it comes to that conflict.
Let me ask you.
So again, I know just one indicator, but, I think a pretty good indication of what the sentiment of the country is right now. I'm sure if you bring up any independent situation, whether it's housing, whether it's economy, whether it's the war with Iran, military use in general, the lack of, anything being done as far as Congress is concerned to, better the American people, better the lives of the American people. All of those things, I think generally you'll have the same sentiment from people in that the government right now is doing dick you know what I mean? To put it mildly, and that they're actively hurting people. They're actively harming this country, either trampling on the rights of women or stripping people of color of their rights, or again, making it more difficult for people to vote, not caring about the housing situation, not caring about the economic pressures that the American people are now facing. All of those things they don't give a shit about. But, just to kind of, like I said, a small indicator of what the sentiment of the country is, as Donald Trump saying that he's got his best polling numbers ever, not just of this week or this month or this term, but ever, as he states. But all right, what do you say we jump into a little bit of the New York primary election coverage? Because as the Republicans are now stating, Mamdani reigns king. And a lot of people are now stating this because I believe the 3 Mamdani-backed candidates did take home their primary victories, some in some surprising cases, and, again, some defeating some prominent names that you will recognize. But this was just a quick Fox 5 from New York update. So I just figured we'd get kind of a general recapping of the night from the New York City primaries. And again, why that's going to do a great deal in pissing off people like Sean Hannity. And not just Sean Hannity, but Sean Hannity is going to be joined by a very special and demented guest. And we'll bring that up in just a second after we again talk about a little bit of the progressive victories in New York City in some of these primaries. Definitely a step in the right direction as far as policy concern is concerned, and as far as what the people want to see happen and what they're not going to allow, as far as people trying to espouse themselves as democratic leaders or people that are going to do something for the people, and then when they get into office, taking AIPAC funding, not doing the right thing by the people, kind of filtering themselves and getting lost in the establishment. It seems like a lot more people now are willing to push back on that. So let's see, like I said, if we could just jump into a little bit of this quick update about the New York City primary election night. Let's go.
Months of campaigning coming down to tonight, voters making their choice on the candidates they want to nominate for the November midterm election. Welcome back to the 10 o'clock news. I'm Steve Lacey.
And I'm Teresa Priolo in for Natasha. There's been a lot of attention paid to 3 progressive candidates that are vying for the Democratic nomination tonight.
All right, right now we're joined by Fox 5's Morgan Mackay and Democratic strategist Trip Yang. All right, let's go first to Morgan. Walk us through the results of tonight. So far, it's coming up to be a huge night for Mayor Mamdani and the candidates he endorsed.
Yeah, this is a huge night, huge victory for Mayor Mamdani. 2 of the 3 candidates so far that he's endorsed on the congressional side have so far secured victory.
And I think this broadcast was put out, I think about an hour, maybe 2 hours after the 3rd Mamdani-backed candidate actually found out that they had won their race as well. So this was just a little bit earlier on in the night's coverage. So that 3rd person that they're talking about did in fact go on and win their race as well.
There is one that we're still waiting for, and so far it looks like right now she's ahead in New York 13, Doraliza Avila Chevalier. She is somebody that Mamdani also endorsed, and Chevalier and Claire Valdez, another one that Mamdani endorsed in New York 7. Both of these candidates are Democratic Socialists, which means if they both win, which Valdez already has, this now grows the number of Democratic Socialists in Congress to 4 members now, and this is a big night for the Democratic Socialists of America. They're really celebrating this victory tonight, especially Valdez and especially Doraliza Avila Chevalier. These are 2 relatively unknown candidates that Mayor Mamdani was able to uplift and really get out and turn out the vote for these 2 candidates.
Yeah, Trip, to that point, I mean, Morgan and I were saying earlier.
And again, even the last video that we were just pointing out, Harry Enton had a portion, the last portion of his video here is actually basically the role Israel played in the New York elections, talking about Dan Goldman, talking about people, getting sick and tired of people kind of, getting funded by these dark sources behind the scenes that inevitably lead them to vote against the American people or things that the American people don't want to fucking see anymore. So again, that was playing a big part, but you can see here role of Israel in the New York elections, and he goes on with the segment here with Berman here to talk about the role of that, and again some of the losses and why some of the victories were obtained as well. But again, for the sake of time, we'll cut back into this this news clip here. My apologies.
Starting to learn these names and get used to saying them. But in terms of the political capital that the mayor has spent on Chevalier, what do you make of the fact that it was a controversial pick, but now potentially this could really pay off big?
High risk, high reward. Zohran Mamdani, he was not on the ballot this year, but he might as well have been because he really boosted 3 congressional candidates. Look, maybe Lander was a favorite, but Claire Valdez, most of us who work in politics in my day job, I run a political strategy firm. We advise strategy, ads. We know that most of the Democratic Party supported Antonio Reynoso, as well as incumbent Congress member Adrian Espaillat. He essentially, the mayor, he took an unknown Claire Valdez.
And again, this is kind of sending a chill up the spines of some of the establishment over on our side as well. I've seen some, some early pushback here from some of these primary victories from some of the more established or establishment candidates here, or establishment politicians, I should say, on the left as well. So again, this is shaking things up. This is sending a message, and I think it's a clear message being sent on at least where the people of New York City and New York in general are feeling, and what they're willing to vote for, and what they want to see as far as change. Especially as far as the what their politicians are saying and then going on to do when they get into power. So again, I think this was something that went on to piss off Republicans very badly, especially Sean Hannity. So why don't we just jump into a little bit of this fucking squarehead, a little bit of Gumby's broadcast here, because he's saying, and he's sitting down with one of the most demented people on the face of this earth, and John Fetterman, who again is going to try to pull out some stuttering, stammering lines that can be recorded as far as clips on Fox News. Again, he spends more time on fucking Fox News than he does doing anything else. So again, not surprising that he'd be on here with Sean Hannity, but he sits down here with Sean Fetterman, and they're talking about how scary it is to apparently see, different languages on businesses. They don't want to see, businesses owned by people that, were born outside this country, or speak a different language, or have a different nationality, or whatever it may be. But, the scary thing that they're showing now on the screen is apparently a New York City business with, oh my God, some different writing on it, a different language. We should be scared. It's Sharia law. It's Sharia law, guys. This is bad. This is bad. So let's see how bad Sean Hannity thinks it is, and then what demented John Fetterman has to say about this whole thing. What do you say we call these assholes out? Hit that like button. My name's Brian. This is Blunt Politics. I appreciate you for joining me. Please do all the things that you're supposed to do and should do and are really awesome for doing, which is hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. If you got a couple quarters in the couch that you can get rid of and, not go hungry for the night, you can send them on to the Venmo, which is up in the left-hand corner. If you want to sign up for a YouTube membership, that's just underneath me somewhere. You can gift those out as well, or you can head over to the patreon.com/BostonBrian. 3 great tiers on there, or fucking go to the merch site, grab some fantastic merch like one of these hats, or just some t-shirts that let people know what side of history you're on, let people know you don't fuck with fascists type of thing. You know what I mean? You can get those on the merch site as well. But all right, let's call out fucking SpongeBob Squarehead here, Sean Hannity.
Democratic leaders finally be able to stand up to this extreme brand of politics?
Woo!
Or is it
Extreme,
just gonna be
baby.
Pennsylvania.
Fucking, for the people, right? Fucking healthcare. Whoa! Extreme, baby. Fucking, I don't know, affordable homes. Whoa! Extreme, baby. Fucking high-speed rail, right? Better, public transportation. Whoa, baby. Fucking extreme. Those radicals that want all those radical things, like the things we just said, that shit. Women to have, agency over their own bodies and shit, marginalized communities not to be fucking stepped on and trampled on and shit. I don't know, just those like ridiculously radical things that we espouse here. But do go on there, SpongeBob.
Senator John Fetterman as the only Democrat.
Why does he look like a fucking chipmunk right now? Like, did he store his lunch in his cheeks? Is he taking some home for his fucking wife or something? Like, what's going on there? Why does he look like he just got out of the fucking UFC octagon? Looks like he just went 3 rounds with Dustin Poirier or something. I'm not sure. Like, why are her cheeks so swollen? Is this like the result of some plastic surgery that went wrong that I'm like not aware of at some point in time? I'm not sure. He looks like he's got 2 fucking roast beef or bologna sandwiches stuffed into each cheek. It's surprising that he can actually do the show still, to tell you the truth.
An ounce of moral clarity and courage. Here with more tonight's stories, Senator
Vinny says stroke, which is apt, right? Ironic considering John Fetterman just came on the screen, but I do believe you were speaking about Sean Hannity. I'm not sure what's up with old Sean Hannity there, but he ain't looking too great. I gotta say, he ain't looking too great. I don't know if the man has to hit a fucking treadmill, or I don't know, maybe he went face first on the treadmill. Maybe that's what happened. I don't know what's going on, but his head looks extra square today. Extra SpongeBob-y square heady, if I do say so myself.
Courage. Here with more tonight's stories. Senator Fetterman is with us. What's your reaction to this? Because to me...
What's your reaction, Fetterman? What's your reaction to this? Because we have you on all the time, and you're a Democrat, and you say you're a Democrat to shit on Democrats. It's kind of the only reason we have you on. But what's your opinion with that shitty fucking goatee?
represents nothing of the old Democratic Party that we once knew.
Good. Fucking good. How about that? Good. That's the whole point, you dumb son of a bitch. That's the whole point. Change. You know what I mean? You know what change means? That means not the same as we had. That means we want different than we've had. We want to see more than what we've been getting, right? So yes, absolutely. You got it. You nailed it right off the bat.
Yeah, no, I mean, the kind of people that are trying to run out of office. I mean, they're just
fucking two have fallen apart. What is with these? Not a brain cell to be had between the two of these people, right? I don't know what's going on with Hannity's cheeks, and I don't know what's going on with Fetterman's teeth. Like, I know his head's fucked up, but I didn't know he had a grill that was that messed up as well.
Good traditional kinds of Democrats you would have.
It looks like his bottom teeth are trying to remove themselves from the conversation as he's ending the conversation. Like, how is that possible?
Expect in New York City now, and now this has just become it's just been the dancing days of the dirtbag left. The
dancing days of the dirtbag left. That was a good one. Clip that one. Make that a short for Fox News. You'll love that one later, Sean. You'll get some clips out of that one on Twitter. Oh my God, the dancing days of the fucking Democrats. Fucking Christ, this guy. Holy shit. I wouldn't trust him holding a fucking ice cream cone at this point. Are you shitting me?
Some of these candidates are outrageous. You have candidates.
Says John Fetterman. Says fucking John fucking Fetterman. The other candidates are outrageous. The guy wears a fucking hoodie. We gave him a pass. If you're going to vote for some good shit, like you said you were going to do at the beginning, then we'll give you a fucking pass on the sweatshirt, buddy. You know what I mean? I like a good hoodie myself. But, when you're going to turn into a demented dickhead, right? When you're just going to turn into a fucking, an outright Republican on us, then no more Mr. Nice Guy, okay? Because you look like a bum. You look like a fucking demented bum. You sound like a demented bum. You sound like you need to be in a fucking home with some fucking 24 hours, 24/7 care. You don't seem like you should be in a position of power. That's what I know. That's what I know. But you calling other people radical and demented and shit is fucking hilarious. That's a knee slap. I haven't had a knee slapper like that in a long time. Says the guy that accepted a fucking silver beeper from a war criminal, right? Same like mock-up of a silver beeper that they used to take out Hezbollah at one time. Basically, they acquired some pager company because they have enough money to do so. Apparently, if a country has enough money to start purchasing companies just for the purpose of creating pagers with explosives in them so they could take out their fucking enemies in a way that doesn't get their hands dirty or something like that, whatever they thought that they were doing. Like, maybe they don't need funding. Maybe they don't need another fucking dollar from our country. Maybe they've gotten enough if they're at that point of just buying random companies to do military shit. I don't know. That's just a little thing that I'm thinking of. Maybe I'm crazy at that point in time. But, this demented fool accepting a silver fucking pager from the war criminal, not recognizing that, hey, maybe this thing's got a fucking ticker in it as well. You know what I mean? Maybe if I say the wrong thing, I don't do the right thing, I don't back Israel as much as I should be backing Israel, or they want me to back Israel, maybe this thing has a little fucking device in it as well. But no, that's the guy that's going to tell us that the other candidates that are espousing some of what the New York City people in New York in general want to see happen because they got the votes. Unfortunately, that's radical and crazy, apparently, to John Fetterman, which is just laugh a fucking bull.
They abolish ICE, abolish the police.
Yes, please do. Please do abolish ICE.
Abolish the border and
abolish the border. I haven't seen that fly by on a ticker. I haven't seen that fly by on a hashtag anywhere. Abolish the border. And I believe he said that before that. He says abolish the police. Pretty sure we haven't seen that in a while either, right? If you want to, reallocate the money and the funding that they get into different resources for the community to feed off of, and so that the community could thrive and not so that the police forces can get another fucking, a Bearcat or another fucking, an Arm and Hummer at some point in time. Like, they don't need military tanks and shit. Like, maybe we could just see some of that go back to the community. So it wouldn't really be like defunding. It's more like reallocating and just putting the funding that's already there into different resources. So no, we don't want to see streets with no fucking cops, you demented dickhead.
She even said F Kamala Harris and more of these outrageous kinds of things. And then you have like Mamdani. He was grieving.
Mamdani. Fucking Mamdani. Yo, he got Mamdani. You know, get that guy over there, that crazy lunatic in Mamdani. I can't say his name right. It's like kind of like the Republicans saying Kamala. I'm just going to say Mamdani. Or I just don't know it. But, you know, dancing Democrats and shut. Shut the fuck up, dude. Jesus Christ. It's amazing he could find his fucking office in his chair to even give this interview.
Hamas sniper was killed by Israel just the other day, and he was grieving that. I mean, these are an emerging.
Was he grieving it, or was he just pointing out the serious insanity of calling it a ceasefire as we still have snipers taking out people in some of these fucking instances? Again, was he sitting there? Did he hold a service? Did he hold a vigil? Was it? Or was he just pointing out the absurdity of people continuing to call it a ceasefire or say that there's nobody being killed? I'm going to assume, because I didn't see it, but I'm assuming it was something more along those lines and not like just an outright vigil for this guy. But, you know, John Fetterman.
Being the full pro-Hamas wing, you know, a lot of these candidates that very likely are going to win tonight just declaring a war on just regular Democrats.
All right, let me ask.
Also known as establishment Democrats, also known as AIPAC Democrats, also known as people that ain't doing fucking dick to help the American people. So sayonara, good riddance. How about that? Some change is necessary, and I'm here for it. I'm fucking here for it, baby. All right, now, we don't need any more of these demented fools. I apologize for leaving John Fetterman and Sean Hannity on your screen even that long. It was 1:30. My apologies. I do have to, at some point, go on to apologize. But he goes on to do more, Israel shilling, as he typically does on with Fox News. But that kind of brings me into this. I know it's been a little bit since we've dived into a Lego video, but I feel like this was kind of pertinent to get into. This is by Persia Boy, and we reported on basically the subject of this video the other day, where Itamar Ben-Gvir had posted that he wanted to see at least 1,000 Lebanese mothers weep and that all of Lebanon should burn. That war criminal, that genocidal fucking freak that fits right in with the other fucking murderous genocidal freaks that run the country of Israel. Absolutely, that's the guy that I'm talking about. That same guy that had like the golden noose and had his wife bake like a fucking noose cake. Right, that guy, that sick son of a bitch that we're talking about. Yeah, well, that's the topic and discussion here on this Lego video. And it's basically, the title of it is Send Him to the Hague, which is almost verbatim what I posted on Blue Sky. How anybody could look me in the face and say that the rhetoric, the goals espoused by people like Itamar Ben-Gvir, like Bezalel Smotrich, and other fucking genocidal fucking war criminal piece of shit that they have going for them over there in the Israeli government, like how you can espouse to me or get me to believe that is not the same absolute same thing that was espoused in same mental fucking same mindset and same rhetoric as Hitler, Mao, Stalin, fucking Himmler, Goering. I mean, you name it, some of the sick sons of bitches of history, right? The ones that were I think we named some of them this morning, Attila the Hun, Genghis Khan, right? Like, how you can tell me that's not the same general mindset, like everybody must burn, mothers must cry, they need to be eradicated, that's our homeland. Like, on a general basis, on the face of it, no fucking different whatsoever. So my same thing said that they should all be sent to the fucking Hague at some point if we had a rightful, a just society. That's exactly what we'd see happen, and that's exactly the outcome that these pricks would see. But again, this is just the Lego video by Persia Boy detailing some of what Ben-Gvir said, and that they need to be in the Hague, send them to Nuremberg. Let's just see what this one details, and then we'll get into a little bit of the what's next. So then we got Benny Dickhead Johnson, and then we'll get into some of the Ukraine coverage before I get you guys out of here. So again, just a little bit here from Persia Boy. Let's see what this one gets into.
Yeah. Ben-Gvir said it out loud. All of Lebanon must burn. Send them to the Hague, send them to Nuremberg. All of Lebanon must burn. That's what the fascist said. For every Israeli tear, 1,000 Lebanese dead. They kill babies and civilians, then cry when their home bleeds. Send them to the Hague, send them to Nuremberg. Same Nazi language coming out of his mouth. War criminal mouth with a government badge. The Hague is calling. Nuremberg knows 4 of their killers died. So now he wants the whole country erased. These ain't soldiers, these are baby killers with a military base. He said go berserk, obliterate, crush and destroy. That's the real face of the occupation, that's the real voice. They bombing nights, slaughter families in their homes. Mothers and babies turn to dust under the bombs. Then Ben Gvir went online like a rabid dog on a leash, calling for more blood, calling for more Lebanese to weep. This ain't self-defense, this is straight up genocide. They bomb hospitals, schools, and tents where the children hide. This is the real Israel, this is what they really meant. He said 1,000 Lebanese mothers must weep. That's what he embraced, that's what he wants to see. That's not a soldier, that's a war criminal in a suit. The Hague is calling. Number is the truth. Sacred defense. Send him to the Hague.
So, okay, just any of the Republicans are wondering why, they're seeing the sentiment coming out of, again, the Republican base, the Democratic base, people all around the world in the dropping support for anything that Israel's involved in. I don't think you need to look much further than, again, some of the statements by not only Benjamin Netanyahu, Itamar Ben-Gvir, Bezalel Smotrich, and the list just continues to grow by the day. So again, it shouldn't be much of a surprise to people, again, when people are voting out candidates that are willing to continue to back the genocide, willing to continue to vote to send weapons and money over to a country that absolutely doesn't have our best interests at heart, is absolutely not a fucking ally, and is absolutely committing war crimes on an almost daily fucking basis at this point. So the fact that they don't want our country closely aligned with them, even though, again, they're still trying to more closely affiliate the United States military with the Israeli military, you can see the sentiment of the people is consistently and more loudly pushing against that, pushing back on that. So, again, it doesn't take much to see when you see some of the statements from the Israeli leadership as to why that sentiment is what it is in this country and the greater world in general at this moment in time. So what do you say we dive on from that one? We'll take a look at this next moron because, again, the voting fraud that they need to espouse in order to help Donald Trump get his Save America Act passed, which, again, doesn't have the votes. But, again, it doesn't mean the propagandists that the maggots send out there, that the White House sends out there, isn't going to do their best to try to propagandize the people. And I just want to call out a little bit of this guy's nonsense here. Should be pretty easy to do, as it typically is, and we won't have to dive through much. I know a lot of people are sick of this moron's face, but unfortunately, it's the morons that are espousing the bullshit that we need to continue to call out, and Benny Johnson being one of the top morons. So he's here. This is titled, Trump just pulled the greatest power move in history to shut down voter fraud. Libs freak out. So I'm curious. Again, I wanted to go into it with you guys. I'm curious what he espouses here, what bullshit he tries to pull, and what lack of evidence he shows, and what we're able to call out. So what do you say we just get through a couple minutes of this, and then again, like I said, we'll end out the show on Volodymyr Zelensky's statement and video that he had pulled out. We got an update from Denis Davidoff, a little bit more about Crimea and strikes in Sevastopol, and then we got a little bit from Georgie from Ukraine Matters in his latest video talking about some of the recent Ukrainian strikes as well. So we'll finish the show out on that. Let's just get through a little bit of this, dickhead, if you can. I appreciate you sticking with me. I appreciate you hitting that like button, subscribing to the channel. Thank you to the mods for doing an outstanding job in being the most outstanding mods that are again, on a social media site in general. So a big shout out to you guys, big salute to you guys, and a big shout out to the community. Let's call out this dickhead real quick.
The greatest headline I've seen today is from NBC News. This is a all-time banger. Trump DOJ struggles to show evidence of widespread voter fraud. So there is voter fraud. It's just a little spread. It's just small spread, not widespread.
Yeah, you fucking moron. The same thing that people have been saying consistently since you dickheads started screaming in the background about stolen and rigged elections. Yes, does voter fraud happen? Absolutely. Does it happen in the to the extent in which you guys will have everybody believe, to the extent in which it would change the outcome of elections? Absolutely fucking not. It does not, which has, again, been shut down in every single one of Donald Trump's court cases that he took to the fucking courts trying to overturn the 2020 election. But again, they're trying in 2026 to bring this back up, and it's solely because Donald Trump wants his Save America Act passed, and he wants to be able to, again, steal and cheat on elections so that Republicans could win and have an edge for quite some time. But why he likes the fact that this says Trump's DOJ struggles to show evidence of widespread fraud, and he thinks like the gotcha of this is widespread. Like, again, do we not understand? Does he not recognize like how many of the cases were actually like Trump morons that like shot their wife, stuffed them in the back of the fucking pickup truck, and then used their like, their mail-in voting or put on their skin to go vote for them because they wouldn't vote for Donald Trump and they couldn't have their wife vote for a Democrat, right? So had to off them. Like, there's more cases of that happening than like outright general voter fraud by Democrats to try to change the outcome of the election that they were able to prove. Right? There were more morons that tried to vote 7 fucking times in Arkansas for Donald Trump than there were any things that they were fucking trying to prove as far as Rudy Giuliani and the rest of the fucking morons that were going around after the 2020 election. What was the other idiot's name? The lady that was espousing, that she was talking about fucking Hugo Chavez and Italy and satellites. What's that bitch's name? Sidney Powell, right? I think she was one of the morons. You guys know what I'm talking about, where, Rudy Giuliani was just doing a fucking traveling sideshow, traveling circus, farting on everybody that was sitting next to him. But apparently, like I said, Benny Johnson has maybe some more evidence of some widespread voter fraud, because why else would he be bringing this up?
It's not like what Joe Biden talked about when he openly declared in 2020 that he's created the greatest voter fraud operation in American or human history. Listen
I
to this.
think the most extensive and inclusive voter fraud organization in the history of American politics.
We've put together the most extensive.
Yes, you fucking moth-eating meatball, Benny Johnson. Of course, he's talking about the fact that he put together a huge fucking group and a pretty good basis to do away with a voter fraud, right? To make sure that voter fraud wasn't a thing that could affect the outcome of the elections. Maybe he spoke wrong. Maybe he misspoke. Maybe he said it wrong. But again, seems like you're holding Joe Biden to a much higher standard than you hold Donald Trump to. Right? Because if you were to call out Donald Trump every time he misspoke, or if you were to call out Donald Trump that he said a fucking incorrect statistic or said something absolutely fucking asinine, you'd never have a moment to do a show about anything else, right? Every single waking moment of your fucking YouTube channel would be about Donald Trump misspeaking, saying something stupid, calling somebody by the wrong name, right? Fucking not knowing where to walk. But it just seems like you hold everybody else to a higher standard. But you know exactly what he was saying, right? They put together the resources in place to make sure to mitigate against the fucking voter fraud, right? So that's what Biden was trying to say. But of course, this fucking, this dickhead, this demented dickhead, Benny Johnson, again, just can't see the forest through the trees, doesn't know what he possibly meant by this, and definitely was the president of the United States saying that he put together a conglomerate of fucking voter fraudsters. You know what I mean? Like he thinks that Biden was out there just telling everybody that we put together this huge group of people that we're going to go through with this like huge elaborate voter fraud case, and we're going to steal the election. That's what Benny Johnson thinks Biden was saying there.
Voter fraud operation in the history of American politics. That's what he said. And he followed through on that promise. If Joe Biden kept one promise, it's that. And that's why in every single state in America, there are voter fraud cases. In every single.
Shit. You guys see? Oh, let me get out of the way. Wait till you guys see the substantial number at the bottom of this map, okay? Because they give the total amount of cases. Okay, they give the total amount of cases, and wait till you see this astronomical number that is at the bottom of this page. You ready for it? Here you go. 138 fucking cases. 138 cases, it says. Okay? And again, maybe that's 138 cases is on the dark side of things. So the dark, states had 138 cases. But even then, we're talking about 1, 2, 3, 4. Florida's not even that dark, so I'll give them 4. I'll give them Minnesota, Illinois, North Carolina, and Texas. Okay, right? So that's we'll even do 200. We'll give them 200 cases. So we're talking about 800 cases, right? And again, adding up the rest of those cases. So you think that's fucking voter changing shit? You think that's election changing statistics that you're pointing out here, dickhead? What a moron. He pulled this up on his own recognizance. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he chose to pull this up on his own show. And again, it's detailing nothing of what he's trying to espouse here. This is not, again, showing widespread anything. Again, these are cases of voter fraud that could range from, again, like I said, the MAGA idiot shooting his wife, sticking her in the fucking back of the pickup to use her vote, to somebody using 17 different mail-in ballots to vote for Trump 47 fucking times. That's what we're talking about in a lot of these cases, I assure you.
state, convictions and cases. Voter fraud is widespread. President Trump talking about how widespread it is.
No.
There are.
Yes, he's back to the Social Security shit. Hold on, real quick. Because they honestly believe that there are like 350-year-old people still getting checks from Social Security, okay? They think that there are 879 people still getting money from the ages of 200 to 209 years old. From the ages of 210 to 219, 866 people. And one person that is 360 years old at the bottom here. When in reality, it's much more likely that we're talking about like errors in the system, right? Like database errors, because it says here the presence of active records for people who would theoretically be 150 to over 300 years old is the result of legacy database programming constraints and historical data transcription errors, rather than a sign that the centuries-old individuals are actually receiving monthly financial benefits. Reports by the Social Security Administration Office indicate that while these erroneous entries exist in the system, almost none of them represent active financial payouts. And this goes on to list some of the reasonings and causes behind some of the anomalies there. It says the specific clerical, administrative, and technological errors that have created these anomalies trace back to a few primary causes. Default date resets. Goes on to say the glitch, the result, says missing historical death records. Goes on to say manual paper transcription mistakes. So again, people transcribing something from paper into the computer, but obviously hitting the wrong key, hitting another fucking, one number too many. A lot of different like logical explanations as to why some of these things would be in there. Not the fact that like a 350-year-old person is still receiving benefits from Social Security office. You know what I mean? But again, he tries to portray this. And as the post here, Benny Johnson's post says, President Trump lists massive fraud in Social Security. Does he list it? Does he give like the exact evidence or the calculations as to how much money these people have gotten? No. What he does is just list generally the statements made by Donald Trump without giving anything to substantiate that, without actually digging into the background saying, is there a logical explanation as to why somebody 237 years old might be in the Social Security system? Yeah, probably because fucking Anne back in 1999 when they were transcribing from fucking paper to going into the computer put it in incorrectly. You know what I mean? Like logical explanations like that shit.
1,000 people age 200 to 209.
That says 879 people. That's not 1,000. That's less than 1,000. I don't know. I don't even see 1,000 on here. Do you see it? I see 1,039, but that's not even 1,000. I don't know where you're getting that number.
That are still collecting Social Security and still voting.
Doesn't say that either. I don't see, where does it say that? I just see 200 to 209 years old, 879 people. I don't see anywhere in there that they're still receiving benefits or they're voting for damn sure. I don't see that said there. You think that would be pertinent information if you did have evidence to substantiate that claim? You might want to post that. Maybe your audience would like to see that as opposed to just your generic Twitter post with, again, the rantings of a madman just generalized in that post.
There are literally thousands of people that are in their 200 years old. That
are in their 200 years old. Good English. Good fucking English on that one. That are in their 200 years old. Or their 200th year. Again, if you want to put it correctly, I guess. But, what does he care?
Government keep sending a check to and keep sending a mail-in ballot to. Maybe that's why Democrats love mail-in ballots so much. You can see here, perfect. There's too many examples to say, but here.
If you look here, it's a black guy. Every time he's got a black guy on the screen, he gets overexcited and he can't talk. The black guy stole some black people. Black people, black.
Just look perfect. From Paterson, New Jersey. The city council president and his wife went door to door stealing mail-in ballots to rig 2020 election.
Now, what effect does the Paterson City Council have to do with the 2020 election and Donald Trump's claims? I'm curious because this seems like a really specific fucking area, a really specific case that you're now trying to, again, generalize the entirety of the voting populace of the United States and just kind of represent this story to be like, yeah, well, obviously what Donald Trump said was right. It happened in the Paterson City Council fucking president's run. So, of course, it's happening all over the place. You know what I mean? Like, fucking settle down, Chief. I don't think this means shit. You know what I mean? I don't think you can, make any claims as to the general election for the president of the 2020 election based off of the Paterson City Council president and what his wife did. I don't know. Just seems kind of logical to suspect that you may not want to just throw that on the entirety of the country. You know what I mean? But
the criminal conspiracy was done literally by the city council president driving around, plucking mail-in ballots out of mailboxes.
You caught him,
and
Benny.
fill-
String him up. Lock him up. Lock him up. All right, I don't feel like looking at any more of that dickhead anyway. What do you say we dive into a little bit of these Ukraine updates, and I'll get you guys out of here after this. We're going to start off with a little bit of Denis Davidov. We've been talking heavily about what's going on in and around Crimea. We've been talking heavily about the Ukrainians' attempts. Sorry, get him out of my way. Yeah, him. This is the video that I want. But we've been talking heavily about the substantial attacks that have been seen, obviously, on the land bridge, obviously on the bridges that the Russians need to utilize to get into Crimea. Obviously, the action is getting steadily closer to the Kerch Bridge. Again, it doesn't take much to suspect that that's going to be a target sometime in the near future. But I think there's a few more updates here. I know Sevastopol was hit. And if I'm not mistaken, I do believe, as he says here, I think it was this video that I watched where he says that was actually where he was born. He was actually born in Sevastopol. So obviously has some pretty big meaning to him, this entire fight. Not that it wouldn't anyways, but, obviously it gives you another reason to kind of light a fire under your ass to beat the Russians. But let's just see if we can gather any more information on some of the attacks into Crimea. And then, like I said, we have this Volodymyr Zelensky video. He posted an 8-minute, 32-second video detailing some updates about the war. And we'll go into a little bit of that, see what he had to say. And then we'll get you out of here tonight on this Ukraine Matters video. Georgie from Ukraine Matters says Russian disaster escalates, Ukraine keeps winning, just to see if there's any other intel, any other details we can see from some of the successes from the Ukrainians over the last couple days. So let's dive into this Denis Davidov video, if I may. Hit that like button. Slava Ukraini. Thank you to the Barnacles that are sticking around. Can't get them damn Barnacles off. They stick around to the end no matter what. And I do appreciate you guys for, again, watching the whole show, sticking around to the end. We usually cover some, obviously, of the important domestic policy going on and pertaining to us in this country. And then typically the last half of the show, we try to, divulge into some of what's taking place in updates in Ukraine, obviously with the war against Russia and other geopolitical instances and in situations that we need to talk about as well. So what do you say we get into this? I appreciate you guys. Hit that like button. So just a couple updates from in and around Crimea.
Hello, my friends. This is Crimea. Yes, again, video about Crimea because the most hot events are happening out there. If we not speak about the front lines, but about kabooms, Ukraine is damn serious. And this is Sevastopol, my hometown, actually. I was born there. Well, I never really lived there for a long time, but it was my summer vacation destination. And seeing it like that for now, well, I have some of the mixed feelings, but I understand that it's the Russian Navy base now and their headquarters and everything. So what Ukraine does there, of course, is not against the locals, but to cut logistics, supplies, and some of the infrastructure for the Russian military, first of all. And this was the power plant that was hit, and also some of the storage.
And it's
we
like,
have
a
one to
lot
three
of
of the
people,
kabooms in the same place.
You've seen, and I'm sure you've heard some of the pushback with, some of obviously the environmental damages from the, the oil refinery strikes or any instance or aspects of this war, and people sitting comfortably in their air-conditioned fucking home on their nice leather couch on a lazy boy being like, oh, this is a disaster, this is a problem. Like, well, how the fuck do you think the Ukrainians feel, right? How do you think it feels for, Denis here, who was born in Sevastopol, now having to see his fucking country, his military basically destroy that because of the Russian takeover and the fact that they're utilizing that to propel a war against Ukraine? Like, it's obviously more difficult for them. It's something that they don't want to have to see. They don't want to have to see their own, their own soil struck by their own military because it's been occupied by the Russians. So, you got to think of it that way as well. Clearly, it's not something they want to be doing. They gave ample opportunity for Russia not to invade. They gave ample opportunity for Russia to get the fuck out of Ukraine. They've given chance and chance and chance after chance for Russia to come to the negotiating table and recognize that it's losing this fucking war and that it's not going to go well for them. They're not going to achieve their goals. None of those things are going to happen, and they're going to consistently lose a considerable amount of their troops. And obviously, the young people in their country, the future of their country, are being lost here, and are just going to help fertilize the soil for the Ukrainians to then, after this war ends, go on to become the breadbasket of the world once again there. But, obviously you got to think about how they feel. They don't want to see this happen. They don't want their own territory ruined. They don't want to have to see the retaliations. And again, that's why they didn't want this to happen in the first place.
And Sevastopol was left without electricity, the main Russian Navy hub. And this is the latest photo from Kerch. The fire there continues in the oil port. So
this is in and around the Kerch Bridge, right? So they're continuously striking, like we said, the Panzer systems, the air defense systems. This is the refinery, I believe, the oil depot that we were talking about that was pretty close in proximity to the Kerch Bridge. So again, just indicators suggesting that they're softening up the area for more broader attacks, for something a little bit bigger, a little bit more substantial in the future here. So again, this is just a little bit of the footage coming in from that fire still burning, apparently.
Tanks were kaputted because the wind blew to the proper direction and all of the tanks were finished. So each tank went on fire. This continues there for already the third day. And moving back to Sevastopol, you may see one more photo confirmation of the local power station, which is not in service any longer, and Russia will have to spend lots of the time to fix that. Plus, we have some of the new fire detected by the firm satellites near the Kerch Bridge. So this is the military base of the Russian army. It went on fire as well. Those are the geographical coordinates, and this base
again, just more indicators saying that the Ukrainians are softening up the surrounding area, right? I mean, they're hitting the military bases, they're hitting the air defense systems. Everything they possibly can to mitigate the response time, mitigate the air defenses, mitigate the retaliations and their ability to stop whatever attack is likely to come. Seems to be what we're seeing here in real time. As you can see, a lot of these, the bases and stuff that are being targeted are close in proximity to the Kerch Bridge. So would lend you to believe that would become a greater target in the future here.
Was not that far away from Kerch. And this is the central part of Crimea. Simferopol, Gvardeyski military airfield and commercial airfield is also not that far away. But Russia had the separate storage for the munition. It was also cancelled. And this satellite image shows the oil plums coming from the kaboomed oil port in the Kerch Bay, and you may see that the Kerch Bridge is...
Whoa! What the fuck was that? What happened there? An error occurred. Do I try a refresh, or did the deep state just kick me off here? Was that a deep state? Now I got to figure out where I was in the video? For crying out loud. For crying out loud. Goddamn deep state. Goddamn deep state. Well, I think we were somewhere in, I don't know, this general vicinity. We'll go over here, maybe, somewhere in this area.
Very hard. My friends, I'm sorry about telling it in every video, but it is very important for this channel growth and for boosting video in algorithms. So please support this channel with your like. Just like this video right now while you're watching it. And also subscribe for the channel. It is for free, both of those.
Same thing with this channel. That would be great if you could do it to both the channels. That would be fantastic. If we could start growing at a pace more consistent with some of these other, that would be fantastic. So if you could also do double duty, hit both the like buttons, both the subscribe buttons, I would very much appreciate it.
Those two actions. It will cost you some of the time, to press it, but it really helps. So thank you for your likes and for your subscriptions. My friends, also, if you can, you may support my Japan Patreon. The link for it is in the video description right
Skip
below.
ahead just a second.
The Russian firefighters are trying to eliminate the fire. They have to do it not just with a truck, but with a local field. Probably
Again,
the same week.
Further evidence here. Every video here suggests that the Russians are unable to mitigate these damages. Okay, they're unable to stop these very substantial attacks from the Ukrainians that are going after the resupply vehicles on a lot of these very important highways for the Russians. Again, we've continuously said Crimea being what it is geographically, not many not many paths to get in there, right? Not many ways in which the Russians can utilize getting food, fuel, ammunition, all of those things to the troops in that area. So again, the Ukrainians hammering away at the resupply vehicles on the roads, like, you know, the Melitopol, the Mariupol highway into Crimea. Obviously, you know, the other path that they need to take if they can't get through, the Chongar Straits. So that makes them go even further west, and then they have to make their way down into Crimea. So again, it's becoming even more difficult. I know the Russians are utilizing ferries to get some of the more heavy equipment back and forth, which is why the Ukrainians more recently have started targeting those ferries. So again, it seems like every aspect, every maneuver that Russians have to, again, keep resupplying Crimea is being attacked right now substantially by the Ukrainians. And it doesn't seem like the Russians have a way to stop this. Doesn't seem like the Russians have a way to, you know, filter in enough, resources or air defense teams or drone teams or anything to make it so that, you know, they're not seeing the numbers of vehicles being taken out that they've been seeing. So it just, again, it seems like it's only going to get worse for the Russians and not better, as something of what he's showing here with some of these clips.
From the different car. Oh, this is the symbol to support the Russian world, Russian peace. But why is it that small inside the vehicle, such a tiny one? They should put it on top of the vehicles. I mean, all of the Russians who support Putin, SMO, plus Ukrainian traitors who support Russian peace, they should put those flags like that on the vehicles for Ukrainian drone operators to define who is who.
Another one bites the dust.
Do they try to go across the fields, or maybe this vehicle went on fire and decided to go to the field to burn down a side of the main road?
But again, look at what they're hitting. Look at what they're hitting. Fuel trucks, right? Resupply vehicles, things that are going to help, still produce the war machine inside of Crimea. So they're not hitting, civilian people, the civilians traveling the roads. They're not hitting anything. They're making sure they're going after these really important targets, these really specific things that the Russians are trying to utilize to resupply Crimea. And we've seen, it's countless number of vehicles now that have been taken out throughout the use of those drones in and around those areas. But what do you say? Because I'm running out of time here. We jump into a little bit of Volodymyr Zelensky's video that he put out. And I'll probably get myself out of the way because he's got it kind of, it is translated, but it's translated via, the text on the bottom of the screen there, closed caption. So I'll hop out of the way. That way you guys can follow along with what he's saying. And I'll just play the first couple minutes of this speech by Volodymyr Zelensky. And then we'll get into a little bit of Georgie from Ukraine Matters, with just some of the other updates of anything that we may have missed over the last, 24 or 48 hours. But here's the latest post here, latest video put out by President of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky. So just a little bit of what he had to say. Let me pop out of the way. You guys can read along, follow along with the captions.
Шановні українці, українки, довгий сьогодні день.
I didn't tell you to stop. Please continue to play. There you go.
Нарад
There you
з
go.
нашими військовими. Я вдячний усім підрозділам Збройних сил України та інших складових наших сил оборони України, Служба безпеки України, наші розвідки, Національна гвардія України, Національна поліція, наші прикордонники. Кожен день є у нас необхідні результати для України. І саме такі, як це визначено нашими стратегічними завданнями. Ми продовжуємо відповідати на російські удари по наших містах і селах. Тільки за цю добу росіяни били по Сумщині, Харківщині, Полтавщині, по Херсону. Дуже цинічний удар був по місту Запоріжжя. Були російські удари також по Донеччині, також по нашій Харківщині. Така російська жорстокість і агресія є першопричиною війни. І важливо, щоб росіяни відчували, що ця війна є. І є саме через них. Перше, є дуже відчутні втрати окупанта на нашій землі, яка зараз під російським прапором. Російська воєнна логістика на тимчасово окупованій території України і саме перебування окупантів там надзвичайно ускладнені. Це правильний сигнал Росії. Сигнал, що точно не вийде у Росії безкарно та легко вкрасти землю українського народу та будь-якого іншого народу з тих, кому російські амбіції зараз загрожують. Сучасні технології роблять окупацію надто важкою для окупанта і, можливо, найважчою, ніж було в усі часи. Україна буде посилювати нашу технологічну базу і надалі. Я дякую всім розробникам і всім нашим виробникам. Росія вже не вперше окуповує чужі землі. Російська держава складається з багатьох підкорених народів і з вкрадених земель. Ми за свою землю боремось. Ми боремось за своїх людей. Ми боремось за справедливість для України. Наші люди на тимчасово окупованій території, думаю, вірно все розуміють. На півдні нашої країни, в Криму, на Донеччині та Луганщині ми не дозволяємо Росії використовувати наші землі як інструмент затягування війни і на перетворення окупації на безкінечну. Наша операція, зокрема щодо Криму, чітко прорахована. І те, як операція триває, абсолютно доводить. Якщо саме те, про що ми говорили з партнерами в рамках G7, у України з'явиться, і це залежить від рішення партнерів. Ми оперативно забезпечимо умови, коли Росія буде змушена обрати мир. Дуже розраховуємо на позитивну відповідь від наших партнерів. Вони чітко знають, про що йдеться. Зараз наші військові вибивають на тимчасово окупованій землі України і на території самої Росії те, що працює на російську війну. Те, що робить цю війну і російську агресивність взагалі можливими. Сьогодні була доповідь керівника ГУРМО, зокрема за результатами наших далекобійних санкцій середньої дальності. Розвідка здобула деякі внутрішні російські документи з реальною оцінкою того, що відбувається. І це оцінка самого окупанта. Наш план тиску болісно сприймається російським керівництвом. Ми досягаємо арсеналів поблизу Петербурга.
We are reaching ammunition depots near St. Petersburg.
Знищено значну
Significant number of Baltic Fleet munitions
кількість боєприпасів Балтійського флоту.
have been destroyed with similar strikes carried out.
Були подібні ураження і на інших напрямках. Ми досягаємо
We are reaching military production facilities,
військових виробництв, як виробництв
including the production of critical components, which we spoke about last show.
критичних компонентів для ракет у Воронежі. І саме тих ракет, якими росіяни б'ють по наших містах, по наших селах, по нашій енергетиці, по нашій.
So he goes on a little bit here, a little bit from the statement there from President of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky, detailing an update on the war, a little bit of the recent strikes from Russia inside into Ukraine, and then obviously about the efficacy that the Ukrainian strikes have been having in multiple aspects, inside of occupied Crimea, inside of the occupied territories in eastern Ukraine, and obviously, as you guys were talking about, I saw you guys talking about that the gas and fuel shortages have now become more widespread into areas that aren't in Crimea, aren't in the Donbass, aren't in the occupied western areas of Ukraine, eastern areas of Ukraine, but are in the territory of Russia itself, and not just the ones that are adjacent like Rostov-on-Don, but deep inside of Russia. We've seen fuel lines in Moscow. Obviously, we've seen panic and chaos in other areas as well. So you guys rightly continue to bring that up in the chat. Not something that would be seen by a victorious military, not something that would usually be faced by a military that was going to conquer its enemy or the people that they see as their enemy within 72 hours. And now again, some 4 or 5 years on into this war, they're talking about how much they're dealing with gas shortages, how able the Ukrainians are to strike targets at will, basically inside of Russia. So again, not something that details a victorious military or a military that is on the right track. But again, before I get you guys out of here, I just wanted to dive into this last video here, latest by Georgie over at Ukraine Matters. So let me throw this on the screen for you guys, and just to see if there's any other updates, anything that we missed, anything that we need to be up to date on or up to speed on as far as what's been taking place over, I believe, the last 24, 48 hours or so. After that, we'll get into thanking anybody that was nice enough to send over a buck or two via Venmo. And then, as always, at the end of every single podcast, we thank not only the people on Venmo, but anybody that reached a milestone, anybody that sent a buck or more in the super chat, anybody that sent the super sticker, all of you guys that helped this show continue to be a thing. we like to thank and appreciate at the end of every single podcast. So what do you say we dive into a couple minutes of this, and I'll get you guys out of here. All right. Appreciate you guys. Again, my name's Brian. This is Blunt Politics. I appreciate you for joining me. If you just happen to stumble upon this live stream and you like what you're hearing and you like what you're seeing, you like the chat, you like the community that we've built here, please think about sharing, subscribing, and liking this this live stream. Please do. What do you say we dive into this? Like I said, this is Georgie from Ukraine Matters, just his latest. Let's see what we can get into.
We are now approaching the end of June of 2026. It was supposed to be the month where Russians will finally recover and start assaulting Ukraine on their positions, cross all of the defense points, and finally start breaking the Ukrainian defenses. Yet in reality, we see that Ukraine is going on the offensive. Not on land per se, yet the operations that Ukraine is conducting are very tactical. They're operating based on opportunities that are being presented to them. But Ukraine is also working systemically.
I still can't get over that fucking shot, man. What an iconic shot that's going to be for the rest of time.
Create those opportunities. And one of the big opportunity is Crimea. Hey there, Georgie here with Ukraine Matters. Let's look at the situation on the ground and see exactly what's going on for Russia. The first things for us to acknowledge is that Russians are not achieving their tempo of advances at all. We have discussed plenty that Russia needs a very serious tempo increase if they would like to see capturing the territories once again. Yet our latest data for the last 5 weeks not only show that one of those weeks Ukrainians actually gained the territory. Right now, we also know that there are some undisclosed gains for the Ukrainian armed forces as the operations are not being made public. But even if we just count for what Russia is capturing itself in Ukraine, then we see that the tempo is very low, averaging up on about 2 to 3 kilometers per day.
Again, we've heard of some of the calculations as to how long it would really take at this rate for the Russian military to achieve or obtain its goals that its originally stated goals that it set out to achieve to begin with. And again, your grandkids and their grandkids and their grandkids are going to die from old age before that fucking happens. So again, just more evidence to suggest that the deaths and the destruction being kind of placed upon the Russian military is not worth the minimal gains that they're seeing in the small areas that they're seeing gains in.
Comparison-wise, last year when it was supposedly successful for Russia, it was about 20 kilometers per day, which was pretty low already at that time.
We got drunk people in the chat. We got Nick. Nick had himself a night tonight. I don't mind that. I think I got something here for that. Hold on. Let me see. You can change the name from Brian, though. You can just change it to Nick. I think I have something for that. Maybe not. I thought I had something, but maybe I'm not as quick on the old uptake. Where is it? I thought I had a Brian, you're drunk. Didn't I have something like that? Am I crazy?
This guy's been drunk all day.
I thought I had one, right? Hold on. I'm finding it. I know I lost it somewhere. It's got to be in here.
Tell the director to call the White House. Do your fucking job.
Nope, not that one. Hold on. It's in here somewhere. I'm going to find it. Oh, here it is.
Brian, you're drunk. You're drunk.
I don't know if it was worth the squeeze there, but you know what I mean? You can change the word, but you can change the name Brian to Nick as far as that's concerned. Hey, Nick.
Brian, you're drunk. You're drunk.
No, I appreciate you guys. Hit that like button. Thank you for being the most entertaining chat on social media. I appreciate it.
In my perspective. But this is an absolutely unsustainable tempo. And more importantly, it's very crucial for us to know what is happening at Crimea, where Ukrainians are cutting off Russians from all sides. There has been over 20 strikes on different logistical units in Crimea, not only the entryway.
So again, I mean, it shouldn't be difficult to look at this right here, detailing some of the strikes, the positions of the strikes, the locations of the strikes, to detail exactly what the intent of the Ukrainian military is, right? I mean, you can see it's clearly, on the routes that the Russians would need to use to travel on and to get their resupply into Crimea, whether we're talking about, down here, after the Kerch Bridge, whether we're talking about the Chonga Strait, or we're talking about, again, the other route that they have to use if the Chonga Strait isn't, getting blown up daily. I mean, you can see exactly. And these 3 strikes here, the 4 strikes, I believe are going to be on those bridges that we detailed. We showed you guys on the map that were, I believe, just north of Armyansk, if I am correct on that one. But again, you can see pretty clearly what their intent is, what their goals are. And if you were the Russians and you had the capabilities, right, you had the, the weapons, the manpower, and the ability to stop what the Ukrainians were doing after you know what their goals are, you'd think you'd be able to do that. But obviously that's not something that the Russians are able to do at this point. And it just seems like, free will for the Ukrainians to take out any of the or as many of the Russian resupply vehicles as humanly possible.
Is to the peninsula, where first Ukrainians struck the bridges to take them out, then they struck the pontoon bridges, and then when Russians made a little bit more solid foundations for some of these crossings, then Ukrainians just started striking the vehicles that are trying to cross these bridges, effectively blocking them. Now we also have additional confirmation that Ukrainians are striking targets inside Crimea itself. Talking about the car bridges, overpasses, Ukraine is also striking railway intersections. All of these critical infrastructure objects that are...
And this exact strike is one that we detailed. We showed you exactly on the map. We tried to pinpoint the exact place of the strike. I think we got it pretty well. I don't think we got 100% confirmation, but it looked pretty close from what was detailed in these strikes and what I was showing on Google Earth there. But this was the exact strike on that railway bridge inside of Crimea.
Mandatory for Russians to keep Crimea moving. Without the functioning logistics system, any army cannot function. So if last year we were talking about Crimea becoming a graveyard for the Russian anti-air systems, at this point Russia is already so deep in that it's now becoming graveyard for pretty much anything. And Russia cannot just leave. The proper military solution here would be to abandon Crimea. It's like you cannot hold that territory with the current capabilities that Ukraine has, and those capabilities are increasing. But
obviously something the Russians will never bow down to. But he's right. You know what I mean? Just think of how much better served the occupants, the occupiers of Crimea, and the amount of troops that they have down there would go to help better serve in the in and around the front that we see on in eastern Ukraine there in the Donbass and further. Like, don't you think that they would help go to back up and create a bigger problem? But recognizing that you can't defend something is just as beneficial as trying to in the first place trying to stop that from happening. You know what I mean? Like, to recognize that right off the bat, to say, okay, this isn't going to be something that we're going to be able to hold. We're going to expend too many resources. It's going to cost us too much money. We're going to see a lot of death and destruction. It's going to be a lot of bad propaganda. So it would be better served to, again, take all of our shit out of here, put it into different portions of the fight on different areas of the front. But obviously that's not something that the Russians are going to be smart enough to recognize. Of course, they're stubborn and they see this territory as theirs. So again, they're just going to sit there and take the punishment. So I appreciate Georgie from Ukraine Matters just kind of giving us a little bit more update on some of the activities there down in and around Crimea, and obviously the effects that the Russians are feeling. A lot of videos out there detailing the fuel shortages in a lot of different areas for the Russians at this point. A lot of different videos out there from Russians in Crimea detailing how they want to get the fuck out, how they're scared to be there. They don't like what it's become. I don't know why they saw it going any other way at that point, or why they're so surprised that this is happening. But again, there's ample video on social media that can detail exactly that sentiment and those feelings coming from the Russians. But what do you say we get you guys out of here? I'm a couple minutes over. I appreciate you guys joining for the doubleheader, as always, on Wednesday. Don't forget, before I get you guys out of here and say thank you to everybody, don't forget to head over to the merch site, because we got fantastic shit like this, guys. Make algae great again. Team Algae. You know what I mean? Just, again, a little mocking of Donald Trump's shit show down and around the reflecting pool there. You can get $5 off. We got a summer sale going on at bostonbrian.com. There is a link for the Blunt Politics merch shop. If you go ahead over there, there's also links to all of my social media sites, Facebook, YouTube, Blue Sky, Threads, the whole 9 yards. So if you head over there, kind of gives you all of the updates, all of the links, and all the information. Also tells you when our Zoom chats are every single Monday and what levels they're for. So again, if you have any questions on any of that stuff, first bet and best bet is probably to head to bostonbrian.com for some of that information. What do you say we get into thanking some fine, fabulous, fantastic fuckers that are generous enough to send over $1 or $2 utilizing the Venmo up in that corner? Keep this channel running, because we are an independent, progressive channel here, we don't utilize any ad reads, no financial backers, never talk to a CEO or a corporation about, financially backing and supporting this channel. All of this is done at the help and the behest of you guys in the community. If you guys see some value, find some benefit in watching this show at all, and again, you do have $1 or $2 to kick into the chat, kick into the Venmo, that would be very much appreciated. Again, if you can't, don't worry about it. Just do the free stuff, the liking, the sharing, the subscribing. Always helps go to boost us in the algorithm. And again, if you're on if you're on Twitch and you have Amazon Prime, you can utilize that to subscribe to the channel as well. Thank you for anybody sending in bits and gifts over there, and much appreciated everybody on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, Substack. Again, we don't charge for Substack, nothing hidden behind a paywall. We try to do it the right way. It's the difficult way to do things. It's the slow way to do things. It's definitely not the most financially viable way to do ththings, but I do believe it is the right way to do things. And I just thank you guys so much for supporting us in our endeavors, in our beliefs, in our passions. And again, you guys supporting us building this channel that way. So thank you so much to DD. Thank you so much to Donna D. Much appreciated for the $4.44 on Venmo. Slava Ukraine, and right back at you, Donna. Thank you so much. Hope you have a wonderful time enjoying the show. Hope you guys find a welcoming place in that chat. Best chat on earth, I believe, but I'm a little bit biased, so you guys tell me what you guys think. Next up today, thank you so much to Cynthia M. For the $20 contribution on Venmo. Thank you so much, Cynthia. Very much appreciate you. Says for support, and it is very much supportive, and I feel the support there from you, Cynthia. Thank you so much. Can't thank you guys enough for all of your contributions. I really. So, Brian, thank you so much for the $2.50. Again, there is no such thing as like a minimal amount. There is no such thing as not enough. So thank you. He says, just wrapping up generator power out, back out now. Thank goodness for 5G, Slava Ukraine. Let's go. Sorry about that. Hopefully you got the lights up and running by the time you sent that, my man. But again, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for the contributions. Thank you so much for supporting this channel. Thank you, Roxanne. Much appreciated, Roxanne. Hope mom is doing well. Very much appreciate you. Happy hump day with the Ace Ventura emoji. I like that. Let's fucking go, says Roxanne. Thank you so much, Rox. Much appreciated to you. And then over the last couple days and earlier today, thank you so much to Victoria, who sent in a substantial $50 contribution at the end of the earlier show. Thank you so much to Victoria S. for keeping it real, as you always do. Thank you so much to Dame. Much appreciated, my friend, for the $10 contributions on Venmo. I found this in my couch, he says. Much appreciated, my brother. Thank you so much for keeping this show running. And then again, Brian with another $10 contribution. Peter L with the $5 contribution. Brian again with another $5 contribution. Really appreciate you, Bri guy. Thank you to Joe H. Sent in $20 the other day. Teague sent in $20. Victoria and Tom always helping us up substantially here at this channel. Roger and Karen, always seeing you guys on the list. Geneva, always helping this channel out. Allison, all of you guys. Nancy, Sarah, much appreciated. Yakov over the last few days, people supporting this channel. It really means a lot, and it really gives me a boost and helps us, sift through this mundane bullshit, this depressing stuff every single day to bring you guys a show, stuff that we think is important, some things that we find are funny or necessary to call out, whatever it may be. I really do help you guys supporting this content. And definitely me as a content creator. So much appreciated. Let's hop over here to the Venmo side of things and thank some people over here. First up today, my main man, Wes. What's going on, Wes? I just may be asleep before the end. You are the salt and light of the world. Grace and peace to us all. Well, thank you, Wes. I think you're giving me a little bit too much credit, but I very much appreciate the $33.33 that you contributed to the show, and obviously your kind words of support. If you're still awake, I very much appreciate you, Wes, and everything you've done for the channel. So thank you, and thank you, Nola. Love the Lego skits. Again, I don't show them as much, but again, they are still very poignant. Definitely hitting on some of the more substantial situations in there, and still going ham with Donald Trump and his degradation of societies, his affiliation with the Epstein files. So I appreciate you, Nola. Thank you guys that stick around and enjoy that part of the show as well. Hope you have a great night, and I really do appreciate you for seeing you here every single show here, Nola. Much appreciated. Thank you to DPD as well for the $20 contribution. Very substantial. Much appreciated, DPD. Boston Brian, I hope you will recover this story. Tania Nicole Miller, a 27-year-old black woman who has visited Miami for Juneteenth. They found her lynched from a tree in Miami's Gwen Cherry Park on June 18th, 2026. Strange fruits. I think I did hear a little bit about that, but definitely something that we could touch more on. But, still shocking on one hand and not shocking on the other hand that this is still shit that we're seeing in this fucking country. Really? You know what I mean? In 2026. So again, with the people in power, it's not surprising, but where you see ourselves, obviously, like I said, in the year of our Lord 2026, I mean, it's just obviously disgusting, and no matter where it's seen. But absolutely, DPD, thank you so much for not only the contribution, but for the update on that story as well. We'll be sure to see if we can learn a little bit more about that in detail, exactly what's still taking place in this country in 2026. So thank you so much to DPD. Thank you to Deb as well. Deb Blues, or is it D Blues? Not sure. I'm gonna go with D Blues. All right, because I think that just flows a little bit better. So thank you, D Blues, for the $5 over there in the chat. Heritage Foundation data showing 1,400 verified cases of voter fraud out of 1.2 billion votes since 2000 produces approximate voter fraud rate of 0.0001166. So again, just to further substantiate the claims that I was making and showing during the Benny Johnson segment of the show. Very much appreciate you, D Blues or Deb Blues. I'm not sure. I'm going to go with D Blues still. But thank you so much for reiterating that fact of just the minuscule amount of cases that even the Heritage Foundation now, okay, this isn't like Act Blue or some progressive society or association. This is Heritage Foundation, their own data detailing only 1,400 verified cases of voter fraud out of the 1.2 billion votes that have been cast since 2000. So again, thank you so much for feeding us that information, giving us a voter fraud rate of 0.0001166. So just to give you a little bit on that as well. So much appreciated for that. Thank you to Abby, as always, for being here and contributing to this chat, gifting 5 Boston Brian memberships. 5 fantastic people in that chat now get to experience a Boston Brian membership for a month. So thank you so much to Abby and everything that you do for this channel as well. Hope you have a fantastic night. Thank you to Drunk Nick Rich here. I love the truth. Thanks, Brian. Well, I always appreciate the inebriated chat. Having a little fun where all of us can't have it. You know what I mean? I think it's a bad look to come on the show a little bit inebriated. Not that it hasn't happened, but typically I try to avoid that. But you guys in the chat can have some fun.
Russia will not
Nick,
leave
much
Crimea.
appreciated. Thank you for everything that you do, my friend. Thank you for not only everything that you guys do for this channel, but all the other channels that you support. I see you out there. I recognize you. I notice you in the other chat. So I understand that you guys do a substantial amount to help these creators and other channels grow and persist. And I'm just, I feel very fortunate to be anywhere on that list and hopefully someday be in line with some of these other fantastic creators that you guys and I follow myself as well. So thank you so much to Nick. Sleep it off, my friend. Go sleep it off. Take a couple Advil. Call me in the morning. All right. No, I appreciate you guys. And thank you, JD, for the Siempre Antifascista. As always, I'll take that $6 and throw it right in the swear jar. I feel like I threw out a couple F-bombs today. Not going to apologize for it, but I definitely feel like I recognized a couple F-bombs slip out today. So that $6 is going to have to go in the swear jar. Thank you, as always, JD, for everything that you do, my friend. Thank you, Carol, as well. A beetle landed in my wine glass. Yuck. Well, Jesus Christ. Is everybody drunk tonight? Am I the only one that's not shit-faced in the chat? For fuck's sake. Carol sounds like he's been sucking back a few, huh? You tipping him back there, Carol? A beetle landed in my wine glass. Fuck that fly. But Carol, I appreciate you. Have the time of your life, my friend. I am just speaking out of pure jealousy at this point. I wish I was with you. I wish we were celebrating the whole goddamn chat. At some point, who knows? Maybe we grow to a point where, we could financially put together some sort of meetup somewhere in the country where a lot of you guys are located. Who knows? You know what I mean? I'm getting ahead of myself as far as that's concerned. But Carol, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for the 5. And get that fucking beetle out of your wine glass. Don't drink the beetle. Just drink the wine. God damn it. No, I appreciate you. Have a good night. And like I said, take 2 Advil. Call me in the morning. Because wine fucking destroys me. I feel like I got run over by a fucking Mack truck the day after drinking some wine. But, that's neither here nor there. And then rounding it out tonight, thank you so much to Rachel, as always. Good to see you, my friend. Good eve from the quiet west of the wooded east. Much appreciated for everything that you do. That reminds me, I have to get up on my emails. I'm not very good at the whole email thing, never have been. But I have to get up to speed and up to date on that because I feel like I have a couple Rachel emails and a couple from Yvonne as well that I need to respond to. So I appreciate you guys in the chat. Thank you so much to the mods and everybody, again, supporting this community, supporting this channel, making it so that we can continue to do this day after day after day, bring you guys the news, the highlights, opinions, anything that we deem to be important enough to speak about. So I really, really do appreciate you guys. I know I say it a ton. It's probably my most used words on this live stream is appreciate and thank you. But again, I don't think that's a bad thing at all. If you're just, saying thank you to the chat, a lot, if you're just showing your appreciation for the people that make it possible to do what you do, I don't think that's a bad thing. So I'm never going to apologize for that. So thank you guys. Much love, much appreciation, much respect to you guys. And stay loud, stay proud, stay aggressive. As I always say, get the fuck out of your seats and get into the streets, please. The sooner we do that, the sooner we, cause a ruckus and start, causing some good trouble in this country, the better off we're going to be. So much appreciated. I'll see you guys tomorrow for the Thursday show. Head over to the merch site. Make sure you grab some of that fantastic merch. And if you can't do that, please just hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. It's free to do so. It's free to share it. So I'll see you tomorrow, 2 p.m. on the East Coast, 11 a.m. on the West Coast, somewhere in between, depending on where you live. And a big shout out and a big sign of appreciation, show of appreciation to you guys. All right, I'm out of here. I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you guys. Love you. Well, that's funny, Tom, because I thank God every day for you guys. Thank you to you. Thank you to the whole chat.
Вітаю, Бостон Брайан. Мій позивний танцор. Я представник 72-ї бригади. Дякую тобі і твоїм підписникам за цей донат, за цю чудову машину, яка буде нас возити усіх на позиції, захищати Україну і наближати перемогу. Разом усі до перемоги. Дякую.
God bless the United States. We're inviting Americans from all across the country to come.
Here's a thought. Grow a sack, fill it with some balls.
The kidney has a very special place in the heart. It's an incredible thing.
Somebody said, is that a Trump statement or is that real?
It's a new form of vicious violation to our country. For minors, do we love minors? I love minors. About to officially name the undisputed. When did this come out? They're just getting acclimated. You know what that means? Acclimated.
We always do about this time.
We appreciate those camels. I haven't seen camels like that in a long time. The water coming here is dead. Never fight uphill, you boys.
Вітаю, Бостон Брайан. Мій позивний танцор. Я представник 72-ї бригади. Дякую тобі і твоїм підписникам за цей донат, за цю чудову машину, яка буде нас возити усіх на позиції, захищати Україну і наближати перемогу. Разом усі до перемоги. Дякую.
The big, fat, sloppy United States.